The verdict of obedience of the Sharia court against the disobedient Muslim wife. It is a love story written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. Copyright. All rights are reserved. All characters in this book are fictitious, and any resembling to real people, living or dead, is purely coincidental. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief paragraphs in a review to be printed in a newspaper, general journal, or a school or a university magazines. This is a love story about three Muslim girls who are subjected to gross injustice, severe violence, and abhorrent persecutions by Muslim men, religious leaders and imams, Sharia judges, and police officers in the Islamic community and the religion of Islam, and it is hostile, hateful, and abusive teachings against women's rights, which are innumerable. For example, beating of women, child marriage, circumcision of private parts of Muslim girls, which is known universally as female genital mutilation or FGM, slaying them in honor killings, inequality between males and females in inheritance, testimony in court, marriage, divorce, man's guardianship over women, controlling their lives and destinies as if they are minors, physically handicapped or mentally retarded, and forcing them to wear the abayas, veils, hijabs, niqabs, or humiliating black burqas as if they are frightening ghosts. Muslim men are allowed by the Quran to have sex or rather rape without the need for marriage. Captive women of war, such as wives, daughters, sisters, and even mothers of the defeated enemies, who are called unclean infidels. Islam forbids a Muslim woman to become a president of a country or a boss at work or a judge in a court. She is strictly forbidden to lead men or women in prayer as an imama. Moreover, the Prophet Muhammad said the woman is an unclean creature, just like a dog and a donkey, and therefore as a defiled being she annuls the man's prayer if she passes in front of him while he's praying. Many Muslim countries prevent women from going to school and work, and they are not allowed to drive cars, bicycles, or motorbikes. They are forbidden to practice any kind of sports such as soccer, basketball, volleyball, and tennis. And they are not allowed to go into gymnastics, beaches or swimming pools, cinemas or theaters, or act as heroines in movies, or actors in the stage in plays, or compete in beauty contests such as Miss World or Miss Universe, or go for the Women's World Cup. None of the Muslim women and girls is allowed to leave the house without her husband or with a muhram. Man, the woman is forbidden to marry such as her father or a brother or a grown-up son. They are also not allowed to fall in love with men before marriage or to choose their love partners. The story is about three innocent girls, namely Intisar, Firdaus, and Muna. Nurse Zakia started crying. Lawyer Salah went to her and put his hand on her shoulder to encourage her. Listen, Miss Zakia, while I was studying the details of this case, I discovered that you are a kind nurse. You are the one who asked Mr. Osman al-Tayyib to stop beating and torturing his new bride, Firdaus. It was you too who persuaded his servant Harun to take the sick and dying bride to the hospital. That is why I want you to be honest and tell the court the truth. Is it true that the late victim, Firdaus, went on hunger strike, or was Mr. Osman al-Tayyib the one who refused to give her food and water? It was her husband who ordered Mr. Harun to give her food and water only once a day, and it should be a small quantity. How did you know that? Mr. Harun told me about it. Have you guessed the reason for this inhumane treatment? Was it because he wanted to starve her to death or for some other reason? Mr. Harun told me that Mr. Osman Al Taib wants to weaken her physical strength so that he can have sex with her. He tried to do this sex to her several times, but each time she prevented him from doing so and tried to kill him twice. Objection, objection, Lawyer Faisal shouted angrily. What is the reason for your objection? The judge replies. I strongly object and refuse such kind of talk to continue in court. This is a completely private and confidential family relationship between husband and wife, and we have no right to hear it in court. As I mentioned before, Mr. Osman Al Tayyib bound his violent and rebellious wife because she made two attempts to kill him. Even the police will tie hands and feet and beat anyone who is violent. Sometimes they would kill him if he became a threat to their life. Do you expect my client to allow his violent and rebellious bride to move freely until she kills him? We Muslim men banish our violent wives, desolate daughters, rebellious sisters, and if that is not enough, we tie them with ropes and flog them with whips and sticks. Even teachers in schools severely beat their bad and rebellious students. Likewise, our blessed Prophet Muhammad, may God bless him and grant him peace, said in one of his authentic hadiths, a man should not be asked why he beats the members of his household. Among the members of his household are his wife or wives, daughters, sisters, and any other female relatives. As I said before, this is a divine right of the father, husband, and brother granted by the Holy Quran in Surah An-Nisa. Or a disobedient woman is not subject to discussion, objection, or criticism. We are not in the countries of infidel Europeans, atheists, feminists, Christians, American infidels, Hindu polytheists, pagan Buddhists, cursed Canadians and Australians, or a Jewish Satanists who are brothers of apes and pigs. We are in a Muslim country called Sudan. Did I make myself clear? Or does the court still want more Islamic religious clarification or quoting more from the verses of the Holy Quran and the hadith of the blessed Sunnah of the infallible Prophet of God Muhammad? May God bless him and grant him peace. Your objection is accepted, said the judge calmly and cautiously, as if he was afraid that Lawyer Faisal might accuse him of blasphemy or apostasy from Islam. Whatever it is, Lawyer Salah resumes his bleeding impatiently. Ms. Zakia, the medical report showed that the hands and feet of the victim Firdos were bound all the time. So how can you say today that her alleged husband, the old man Osman Taib, stabbed her because he wanted to weaken her physically, that so that he could have sex with her? At first, he tried to have sex with her without tying her up, but she caught him. She caught his throat, strangled him, and was about to kill him. His guard Harun came and saved him from her hands. How did Mr. Harun save Mr. Osman al-Tayyib? He hit Firdos, the new bride, on the head with a stick and made her pass out. How did you know that it was the guard Harun who hit her with his stick on the head and not Mr. Osman al-Tayyib himself? Because Mr. Harun came to me and told me that the new bride had killed her husband by strangling him to death. When I got to their hotel room, I found both of them unconscious. I first treated Mr. Asmal Taib. When he regained consciousness, he ordered Harun, his guard, to tie his new bride with ropes to bed before she regained consciousness. Can you describe to the court the situation in which Harun tied Firdos? He spread her legs apart and tied them at the corners of the bed. Then he put her hands behind her back and tied them together. He used strong ropes and a long chain to tie them up. When he bound her, did he remove her clothes? He did so before tying her legs and hands. She was unconscious when he undressed her completely and then tied her up. Did her so-called husband order him to take off her clothes, including her underwear, or did he do it himself? Of course, said Osman al-Taib ordered him to do so. I was in the room when the former ordered the latter to undress and tie up his new bride. Please continue. After she was stripped naked and tied securely, Mr. Osman Taib asked me to treat her. When she regained consciousness, he ordered me to leave the room. What about his bodyguard Harun? Did he live with you or did he stay? He didn't live with me. The old man told him to hide under the big bed and come out to save him if his violent bride tried to kill him again. Did she try to kill him again? Yes, she did it. For the second time, she bit his lips. When the servant Harun called me again, I went into the room. I found his master's lips bleeding profusely. Both the bride and the groom were unconscious and had a lot of blood in their mouths. What happened after you revived them? I told the groom, Osman al-Taib, not to attempt sex with his new bride, Firdos, because she was too tired and weak. Her husband accepted my advice and let his first wife sleep in the bed, and he left the hotel. He returned to her after a few days. During those days, he ordered Harun not to give his rebellious and dangerous bride too much food and water. Mr. Harun told me that when the old man, Mr. Asmateb, returned again, his angry bride begged him to give her a few drops of water and some food, but he refused to give them to her. When the young bride became physically weak and almost unconscious, her groom had sex with her several times. Objection, Your Honor. The Honorable Judge and Jerry shouted, Attorney Faisal. What is your objection? The Khartoum police have interrogated Mr. Harun. He did not mention in his confession that the husband, Said Osman al-Taib, refused to give food and water to his first wife, Firdos, even though she begged him for that. Here is Mr. Harun and let him speak confirming or refuting his statements. When the judge questioned the guard, Harun, he denied what Nurse Zakia said about him. Your Honor, Judge Sami Hashim, and the esteemed men of law, how can we believe such a virtuous and generous man who built a great mosque for God, a high school for girls, and a wing of a hospital for women in the city of Gadarif can do such inhumane work to his legitimate Muslim first wife? The disobedient first wife, Firdos, herself was responsible for her hunger and thirst, or for causing her suicidal death. She refused to eat or drink during her honeymoon because she was angry at her family's marriage to an old man. In addition, before and after her marriage, she loved lawyer Salah and wanted to flee with him. The shameful and obscene sexual photos that were taken in public places between her and her lover Salah, which my client presented to the court, showed that she was a disobedient wife, unfaithful to her legal husband, and was cheating on him with another man. But regarding her marriage to Mr. Osman Taib, we cannot condemn an old man for marrying a young teenage girl. And if we condemn him, then we condemn our blessed Prophet Muhammad, may God bless him and grant him peace. Our infallible Prophet, the chosen one, married his third wife, the child bride Aisha, when she was 6 years old, and had sex with her when she was 9 years old, and he was 54 years old. Therefore, it is accepted sunnah of the Prophet for the elderly Muslim men to marry underage brides. This hadith is mentioned repeatedly in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Therefore, it is authentic. Lawyer Salah was frustrated by the arguments of defense lawyer Faisal because he referred to religion to justify every evil practice committed against the late 15-year-old victim Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. Thus, he correctly predicted that the judge and jury in the criminal court could not reject these legally and socially acceptable Islamic religious justifications because that would be interpreted as an attack on the Holy Quran and the marital life of the Prophet Muhammad. Thank you, Ms. Zakia, for telling the truth. Your Honor the Judge, I'm satisfied with the information provided to the court by the suspect, Nurse Zakia Karamallah. Then Lawyer Salah wiped away his soaked tears with his handkerchief after questioning the witness and the accused, Zakia. Then the felony court judge announced an hour's recess. After the break, the judge and his jurymen entered the courtroom 15 minutes late. The delay is attributed to their long private discussion regarding the case. As soon as the judge took his seat, he handed some official papers to the courtman and asked him to read them out loud. After this court carefully studied the case at hand, it came up with the following decisions and rulings. And after listening carefully to the three accusations leveled by the family of the late wife Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir against these three defendants, and after hearing the pleadings of the lawyers, Mr. Faisal and Mr. Salah, and after hearing the interrogation of suspect number 2, the nurse, Ms. Zakia, Judge Sami Hashim and the jurors of this criminal court reached the following verdicts. Is suspect number 2, the bed private nurse, Zakia Karamallah, guilty of covering and assisting the defendants, Mr. Osman Al-Taib and Mr. Hassan Harun, in causing the deaths of the first wife, Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir, are not guilty. This court found her not guilty. Is accused number 1, Mr. Hassan Harun, guilty of killing Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. This court found him guilty of second-degree murder. That is why this court sentenced suspect number 1, Mr. Hassan Harun, to 4 years in prison. Actually, the second murderer, Harun, received a reduced sentence similar to that of singers and dancers in the Al-Wihsh rape of the first innocent girl, Mona Salahuddin Hashim. He received a light punishment as if a cock was singing at the evil old man's rape of the second innocent girl, Firdaus, as she danced on her deathbed, slain in pain. Is suspect number 2, Mr. Osman Al-Taib, guilty of kidnapping his first legal wife, Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir, from her family's house, or is he not guilty? This court found him not guilty. When the criminal court in Khartoum, Bahri, acquitted the convict Osman Al-Taib of the kidnapping charge, Salah, Mona, Walid, Hamza, Badriya, and her mother Sarah stood on their feet as a sign of protest. But the other people remained seated in their seats. Is Mr. Osman Al-Taib guilty of raping his first legal Muslim wife, Firdaus Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir, or is he not guilty? This court found him not guilty. When the criminal court also acquitted him of the second degree was a second charge related to the rape of his alleged fourth legitimate Muslim wife, Firdos. The face of the evil old man, Osman al-Tayyib, showed a big smile. The hypocritical Imam, Maulana Sheikh Marzouk, also smiled happily. Attorney Faisal, Attorney Salah, his three friends, and her mother Sarah are very disappointed by the injustice of the court. Is Mr. Osman al-Tayyib guilty of killing his legal Muslim wife number 4, Firdos Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir, or is he not guilty? This court also found him not guilty. Accordingly, this court acquitted suspect number 2 and accused number 3 of the charges brought against him. When the evil old man was acquitted of his heinous crimes, he rose to his feet and began clapping his hands for the so-called justice of the criminal court of Khartoum. The lawyer Salah fell to his knees, covered his face with his hands, and began weeping for his beloved friend, the second innocent girl, the late underage Firdos. His new bride, the fairest innocent girl Muna, the good citizen Walid Hamza, and her sister Badriya wept too, while the grieving mother, Sarah of the oppressed, raped, and brutally murdered daughter, knelt on her knees on the ground and began to weep bitterly as well. In the meantime, the wicked Imam Maulana Sheikh Marzouk started shouting again and again, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Truth has come and falsehood has vanished, for falsehood was already crushed. He shouts as if he is in a mosque calling people to prayer. The alleged husband, Hassan Mahjoub al-Hilali, of the second fugitive disobedient Muslim wife Intisar, Fattah Karrar, Tia, Digir, Nisr, and the 5 new spies, the so-called black slaves, joined him in shouting takbir and applause to the evil religious leader and began to repeat after him those satanic phrases of victory. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. On that day, the kidnapper, rapist, murderer, Osman Satan al-Tayyib orders his criminal, spiritual leader, Imam Maulana Devin Marzouk, to take the spies and criminals to a 5-star hotel and buy them dinner at his own expense. As a matter of fact, the wicked old man became very happy because he only had 1 week left in jail. Then he swears by God and the divorce of his 3 wives that as soon as he gets out of Kobar Central Prison, he will dig the ground or exhume the filthy, damning prostitute Intisar from her grave if she already died, and hand her body, whether alive or dead, to her legal husband, Hassan, to rape her fucking pussy, and complete his permissible Islamic marriage with her. He decided to personally meet all his corrupt friends who are senior police officers in the police departments of Khartoum, Gadarif, Kassala, Wad Madani, Port Sudan, and Halfa cities, and pay them whatever sums of money they ask for. Then he will ask them to find the runaway rebellious wife Intisar and hand her over to her lawful husband Hassan. After reading the oath of revenge, weathering away the breeze of demons, send the 10 spies hired by him to search for the so-called second disobedient Muslim wife, the dirty runaway whore who supposedly stole the heart of his son Sami, and send him with his other wicked friends to prison. The evil old man always remembers over and over again, day and night, when he was in Gadar prison, how he was imprisoned with a notorious criminal called Kuku, the son of the devil, and his evil gang, get brutally beaten by the ruthless police interrogators and dangerous criminal bodyguards. He has appointed his evil Imam Maulana Sheikh Marzouk as the new leader and financier of the new spy and the nine spies and the alleged lawful Muslim husband of Intisar Hassan Mahjoub al-Hilali. The wicked old geezer in his impure heart and corrupt mind also decided that once he is released from prison, he will arrange to kill Intisar Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. He decided to hire a bait killer or order one of his drivers to hit her on the street with his speeding car and kill her horribly. But he hid that conspiracy buried in his evil entity from her so-called legitimate Muslim husband Hassan and his other partners in crime. Chapter 70: Blacklisting the second fugitive disobedient Muslim wife. In the meantime, during their wonderful honeymoon, newlywed lovers Sam and Intisar changed the arrangement of their daily lives. Since people usually work during the day and sleep at night, the two happy, intimate lovers reverse this natural order. Their day starts at 7 p.m. and ends at 7 a.m. As soon as they wake up, they will go to the bathroom and take a hot bath together in the bathtub, which is a jacuzzi tub. They spend a lot of time passing each other. Then they eat the first meal of the day that they cook together. From 9 p.m., their wonderful time begins to have fun. We will not go into detail again in describing how the two lovers enjoy sex because that would require many chapters to be written. Suffice it to say, they enjoy their honeymoon nights, a wonderful times better than their first wedding night. So their days and nights pass peacefully and are full of joy, happiness, and true sexual pleasures. They completely forgot about the outside world and other people, whether they were friends or enemies. They considered those sad and unpleasant days of their suffering to be gone forever, and so that they would never come again. They have become born again Christians, two new creatures, and they live among good and loving people. Not only were they the handsome, loving boyfriend and the beautiful girlfriend they once were, but they became husband and wife. They are now they are no longer persecuted lovers. The disobedient runaway wife Intisar is no longer required by law. She is now not Hassan's legal Muslim wife. She has become a beautiful, holy Christian bride to her handsome, lawful bridegroom Sami. As Christians who were saved by the Lord Jesus Christ and whose names are written in the book of life, they are on their way to the kingdom of heaven. Soon they will emerge from the Islamic land of suffering and abuse and go to the promised land in a western country of Christians, a land full of happiness and overflowing with milk and honey. There, their happy Christian married life will be filled with wealth, where money is scattered everywhere in Canada and can be collected from the streets like the rubbish in the filthy streets of Sudan. Meanwhile, the newly married couple continues to enjoy their wonderful honeymoon in a beautiful hotel in Khartoum City. Never in their painful past did they expect that their days would one day be so be as pride, joyful, wonderful, full of fun and sexual pleasures as they have now in every day. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, on the same fateful day, when the serpent called Iblis, Lucifer, the cursed Satan, and the great devil was tried, and the criminal court acquitted him of the crimes of kidnapping, rape, murder, of the second innocent girl, the late Firdaus, suddenly the phone starts ringing in the hotel room of the newly-wed happy couple. It continued to ring for about 5 minutes without either of them responding to it. They still sleep in each other's arms. The ringing stopped, and a blissful silence restored to the room. After a few minutes, the ringing broke the silence again and filled the room with a loud and shrill noise. This time, it continued without stopping. It appears that the person on the phone has particularly important and urgent information to report. The handsome groom Sami was woken up by the annoying ringing, forced his sleepy eyes open, and picked up the phone. Hello, Sami says in a sleepy voice. Yes, Suzanne, how are you today? We are fine. She's still sleeping in the bed. Yes, we had gone to bed very late last night. Her application was denied. Why was it rejected? My application has been accepted. How did this thing happen? My passport ready and her application was refused? Why didn't you try to find out why? Your friend Andre thinks it is not a good idea to find out why she is rejected. He fears that the police will arrest him and then force him to reveal the hiding place of the disobedient runaway Muslim wife Intisar Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir. But how do we escape from our country? As you know, we cannot live in this Muslim country as husband and wife. Your father knows that our conversion from Islam to Christianity and secret Christian marriage will not be accepted in Sudan. What you promise in Tisar that cannot be achieved now. How can we live all our married life hiding underground? Sooner or later we will be exposed and then severely punished under Islamic law. They will kill they will kill us as apostates and adulterers. The best solution is to destroy those Christian documents. Yes, I mean our baptismal certificates and secret marriage contract. These documents are not valid and have no value as long as we live in Sudan. I don't know what we should do now. I will tell my friend Intisar that you and your friend Andre are coming to visit us at the hotel in the evening. Please extend our regards to your lover. Bye, Suzanne. When the Coptic girl hung up the phone, Sam slowly returned the receiver to the landline phone on the table. He couldn't believe his ears at the disastrous news he had just heard. He shook his head several times to make sure he wasn't dreaming or hallucinating about what he had heard. Everything around him assured him that it was heartbreaking news and the truth. Then he turned his face toward the bed. He saw his beautiful Christian bride still asleep. He wants to wake her up and tell her the sad news, but some mysterious force kept him in his place. He felt as if an iron wall had suddenly been built between them, separating them again. He concluded that she was no longer his beautiful bride. Their marriage is like the marriage of little children. They get married, and then the game is over, and each child goes back to his family's house to sleep. The groom Sami told himself that it was very foolish for them to believe in the promises of the Christians. They first deceived the Muslim girl Intisar and converted her to their false religion by giving her false hopes. He is also an idiot and a fool and fell into the same trap. The sad lover sat for a long time contemplating their new unsolvable problem. Their problem is now more complex and impossible to solve. The Copts made matters worse with their apostasy from the religion of Islam and their conversion to Christianity and secret marriage as Christian. As the frightened lover pondered deeply about their new intractable problem, his eyes continued to look at the naked beauty sleeping in front of him. His Islamic mind told him that he committed adultery with her. She is not his legal Muslim wife. It is just a childish idea and a game of trick played on them by Coptic Christians. He has no right to have sex with her. All the fun they enjoyed together made them adulterous and unclean persons and defiled their pure bodies. What would he do if he impregnated Intisar with a forbidden baby or what haram child? How does she bear an illegitimate child in a strict Islamic society? She would be stoned to death if discovered. He too would be killed as an apostate from Islam if his conversion to Christianity was discovered. And while the sad bridegroom was immersed in those dark thoughts and fears, he again began to hear the phone ring. He hesitated to answer it. When the phone kept ringing non-stop, he concluded it must be another important call. So he picked up the phone and said, "Hello, yes, this is Sami. Salah, how did you get this phone number? It was given to you by Miss Suzanne Matahanna. Yes, I forgot that the Christian girl Suzanne and her Coptic friend Andre had promised to attend the trial of the gang that kidnapped, raped, and killed the second innocent girl Firdos. What is the outcome of the trial? He was found not guilty of those heinous crimes. How could that happen? My wicked father deserves to be hanged for raping to death the innocent underage girl Firdos. You and your new bride Mona are coming to visit us at the hotel in the evening. Walida Badriya will come with you too. Intisar's mother, Sarah, returned alone by the Taysir bus to the city of Gadarif. Yes, you are all welcome. Congratulations to you, our best friends, on your happy halal Islamic marriage. I'm terribly sorry that I could not wait in Gadar city for your happy wedding celebration. I had to leave that day in a hurry without telling you, Amuna, because of a difficult problem my friend Intisar was facing in Khartoum city. I'll explain it to you when we meet in the evening. Yes, I will tell my friend Intisar that you are all coming to visit us in our hotel room. She's still in bed. Well, Salah, see you in the evening. Goodbye now, my dear friend. The sad lover's mind. The sad lover's mind is now preoccupied with another problem. He knows that their four Muslim friends do not know anything about their apostasy from Islam, their conversion to Christianity, and their secret marriage as Christians. What should they tell them? Do they tell them that they married in a secret as unbelieving Christians? If they do not disclose their secret Christian marriage, but tell them that they married as lovers, their Muslim friends may want to know how they did it. Did they deceive a Sharia court judge or an imam of a mosque who's a married mazoon in Khartoum city and get married? This will not be accepted because any recognized Islamic marriage mazoon will not agree to marry a Muslim man and a Muslim woman without the bride's guardian, whether it is her father, brother, or any other male relative on her behalf. Do they tell them that they are not married yet? Their best friends will be surprised to learn that they live together in the same hotel room without being married. They will certainly conclude that they are committing adultery and defile their bodies every day. After that, the sad lover Sami began to think about the possibility of telling their four Muslim friends the truth about their conversion to Christianity, their apostasy from Islam, and their secret Christian marriage. How, as faithful Muslims to their religion, can their good friends accept such res- reprehensible acts? Some expected all four friends to boycott them. They may even report their apostasy out of Islam and conversion to Christianity to the Islamic police authority in Khartoum city. Therefore, telling them the truth would only be asking for more trouble. They were sternly warned by the Christian priest Matta Hanna and his Coptic family that no one should know about their apostasy, conversion to Christianity, and secret marriage. Even their Muslim friends and relatives should not know about it. This is the only thing that no Muslim man or a Muslim woman in the whole world will accept or tolerate. Even his father, mother, brother, sister, other relatives, or even his best friend will be the first to report the apostate to the police. Such an apostate Muslim may be killed by his relatives or a best friend. The grieving groom knows that apostasy from Islam and conversion to Christianity is a heinous crime that is punishable by death and can never be tolerated in an Islamic society like Sudan. Therefore, the lover Sami Osman al Tayyib refused the idea of revealing to their four Muslim friends who are coming to visit them in the evening at the hotel about their hateful apostasy and their forbidden Christian marriage. It is like a fool shooting himself in the foot. In fact, Sam's conversion is a false conversion. He did not he did it because of his mad love for Intisar, whereas his girlfriend's conversion is genuine and she did it so out of sincere conviction and true understanding. In any case, the sad lover remained bewildered, thinking of discovering a way to escape from the current problem before him. He thought of waking up his apostate beloved girl, Intisar, to tell her that they had to escape and hide their disgraceful acts somewhere before their Muslim friends, Salah, Mona, Walid, and Badriya, came and discovered their abhorrent apostasy and shameful adultery. Before putting his thoughts into practice, the sad lover, Sami, continued to stare angrily at the face of his beautiful girlfriend, Intisar, who was still sleeping and dreaming sweet dreams with him. He can no longer see the beautiful face of the sad innocent girl Intisar, whom he fell in love with at first sight. She now appears to him as the whore of Babylon and the mother of all abominations. She deceived him with her abhorrent apostasy and wholly defiled his body with her shameful fornication. She is as guilty of a sham marriage as her alleged husband Hassan and his evil father. Osman al-Tayyib. He blamed her for their abhorrent apostasy and secret forbidden marriage. She was the first to be deceived by the Christian infidels. Then she dragged him into Christianity and included him with her in her abhorrent and unforgivable religious crimes. Then a demonic thought entered the mind of the agitated lover. He must run away from her and leave her alone to face in the face of her crimes and shame. Before he could put his selfish idea into practice, the frightened lover heard the phone start ringing again. Tried to ignore it, but the phone kept ringing non-stop. Then he got up from his chair, picked up the phone, and asked angrily, "Who is there? Welcome. Yes, this is Sammy. Yes, Suzanne. What did you say? She can travel without passport? How could that be? What a document are you talking about? Emergency travel document from the Red Cross? I had never heard of it before today. But Susan, Because her application for a passport has been rejected, surely her name will be blacklisted everywhere in Sudan. Therefore, she cannot travel by plane because her name will be blacklisted at Khartoum International Airport. Yes, if she goes to the airport, she will put herself in great danger. I'm absolutely certain that the Gaddafi police reported her escape to Khartoum police. This is why the police of the capital city prevented her from obtaining a Sudanese passport and most likely added her name to the people banned from flying. In this case, her name has been blacklisted at every airport and seaport in Sudan. I think it is common sense. Even a child can tell it. You will try to find out if her name is blacklisted at Khartoum International Airport or not. How will you find out? Your friend Andre can find out. He has a Christian friend from South Sudan in the Triangle Metropolitan Police Force who works at Khartoum International Airport. It is the only international airport in Sudan. Well, let him try to find out. Farewell, Susan. The news of the Red Cross emergency travel document promoted the deeply frightened lover who was still a Muslim at heart to put off his selfish idea of escaping from his apostate Muslim, a sweetheart who had become an infidel Christian in and out. As a result, the groom Sami felt that he did not need this speed to escape from his bride Intisar and leave her to face the consequences of her hateful actions. His hope now rests on the southern Christian police officer, whom Susan's Coptic friend will consult with at Khartoum International Airport. It is like the sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. Despite this slim hope, it will not solve their problem with their four Muslim friends who will come to visit them at the hotel in the evening. Then the handsome groom decided to wake up his beautiful bride and tell her of the serious problem that they will face when their four Muslim friends come today. He wants to know if the smart girl Intisar Al Zakiya can come up with a better solution than his cowardly choice to run from her and hide somewhere else. So Sami got up from his chair and walked slowly towards the bed. When he got there, he sat next to the sleeping beauty. Then he looked at her innocent face, which was like the face of an angel. This time saw her face full of innocence, peace, beauty, and love. Then he extended his right hand forward and gently touched her left cheek. Her soft cheek made making love to her sexy naked body bubbling up in his heart. His dick to stand up like a cannon on a water tank in a war tank. He kept moving his right hand up and down on her smooth cheek. The lovely naked bride woke up when she felt the touch of love making from her handsome groom. She enjoys his touch, even though she woke up from her sleep. She didn't say a word to him. She just placed her hand on his hand without opening her beautiful eyes. Her sexy lips separated from each other and let out a sweet smile. And her smiling lips mean an invitation to her lover to kiss her on the cheeks. Sammy wants to kiss her on the mouth, but he hesitates. He knows the kiss will lead him into embrace. The hug will inspire him to caress her naked body. Her naked body would make him want to have sex with her as a husband and wife. Sexual desire will not be satisfied except in the practice of physical love by cramming his light red cock into her small tight pussy, ejaculating semen, entering her uterus, and making her pregnant if she is not pregnant in advance. He will fertilize her egg, and together they will make a child. He wishes their first child to be a beautiful baby girl like her mother, or a handsome baby boy like his father. But Sam still doubts the legality of their secret Christian marriage. In the depths of his Islamic mind, he believes that the disobedient Muslim wife who escaped from the verdict of obedience is still bound by her halal Islamic marriage with Hassan, Mahjub al-Hilali. While these Islamic thoughts are being in the mind of the handsome naked Muslim groom, meanwhile the beautiful and sexy naked Christian bride is eagerly awaiting a kiss on her sweet lips. When she was sure that her lover did not want to kiss her, the smile died between her lips, and a frowning face appeared in its place. Then she turned it and buried her face and body against the wall. Sammy tapped his finger on her shoulder to wake her up. He thinks she is still sleepy. But the naked bride ignored her groom and pretended that she was still asleep. He knows she has woken up, so he speaks angrily and asks her to talk to him. He said he had particularly important and urgent news to tell her. The angry bride became all deaf and dumb to his bunches. What was the reason for her frowning? He understood she was angry, so the groom had to change his mind. He placed his lips on her bare shoulder and kissed her. This kind of superficial apology from a grieving groom cannot change the sour mood of an upset bride. Then Sammy put his body close to her sexy, naked body and extended his head and found her lips and kissed them. The angry bride understood that the kiss was only to make her happy, but it did not come from the heart that was always in love with her. Therefore, she continued in her angry mood. The groom blessed his lips on his bride's right ear and whispered softly, "You know how much I love you, Intisar, so I hope you wake up." Those emotional and apologetic words made the situation worse. She thought in her heart if he truly loved her the way they were before marriage, why wouldn't he show it when she wanted him to? The beloved Intisar saw that her lover was like many Sudanese lovers who believe that their secret love with their beloved girlfriends must end in marriage. Such lovers say to their beloved ones that there is no need to set a love trap for the sparrow after she has been caught and blessed in the matrimonial cage. Or why buy honey from the store after tasting the bride's boozy, or buy milk from the market when there is a free dairy cow in the house. Some of them reach the point of depravity, to the point of believing that after marriage he does not need to go to the brothels of Abyssinian prostitutes, while in his house there is an open and available free boozy for his cock at any time he wants to cram in it, fuck her, enjoy her naked body, and taste her honey. So the frowning bride remained stuck in her grumpy, grumpy mood. Groom Sammy put his hand slowly around her sexy, naked body and touched her waist. Intisar pushed his hand away. This is their first quarrel after marriage. He did not give up. His naked body, an erect cock like a cannon on top of a military tank, braced against her bare buttocks, and was about to reach her little camel or a small pussy from behind in dog-like fashion and shoot his fare inside her hairy cunt. Unfortunately, the naked bride withdrew her body from him and turned it away towards the wall. The groom filled the space between their bodies again. She pushed herself back against the wall. He again went after her sexy body. She tried to push her big ass further, but found herself trapped against the wall. Once she discovered that there was no refuge or escape for her, she surrendered to him. Her groom hugged her again, but this time she understood. It was with true passion. He began to touch her naked body in every sexy and sensitive part. She loved his touch and caresses, enjoyed it, and wanted more of it. She turned and hugged him. Now his big cock longs for pleasure and to go inside her little pussy. She feels that the sticky, swollen cock braces her large buttocks with a horn which them and slides from time to time into the valley between them like a stick, as if he wanted to shove it into her ass from behind instead of poking her in front, kiss her on the lips. She gave him her tongue. He started to suck the sweetness of the honeymoon nectar from her tongue and lips. She now feels that his kisses are not the same as before, but they are full of strong passion and intense sexual desire. She wants to feel his big, sticky, erect cock inside her wet little pussy and fuck her constantly and quickly until she reaches an earth shattering orgasm while he's ejaculating his semen inside her. Chapter 71. Naked Bride Stuck Inside Bathtub. The handsome groom kept kissing the lips of his beautiful bride and sucking the honey nectar from her tongue. She, she cubed her lips to his and waited with anticipation for more real pleasure. Intisar now feels that kissing Sami is not the same as before. It is filled with deep love and great fear. She feels that his embrace is like the embrace of someone who is afraid of losing what he holds in his hands and hugs between his arms and in his chest. So she understood that she had to assure him that she would be his life partner forever, and no authority on earth or a power in heaven could take her away from him. To prove it, she climbed onto his body and started kissing him with intense lust. She rubs her naked body against his nude body. She also began swinging her large, bare buttocks in all directions. She just wants to motivate him so he can make love to her. Of all the sex styles she knows, she loves the cowgirl style of sex the most. She likes it when she strips. She likes it when she strips completely nude and jumps on top of his naked body and has sex with him. This way she will be in control and do it on her own time. On the contrary, Sammy likes the style of dog style. He tells her that he likes to come from behind and enjoy her big ass and reach for her small can and shove his erect cock like a cannonball into her tight pussy in that fun sexual way a dog fucks at his beach. He too will take the lead and do so at his own pace. When the two naked lovers disagree about what sexual style they should take, they always settle for the classical sex style called the machinery position. It is also known in Africa as the sex mode of our father Adam and our mother Eve, and in the Arabian Venezuela and the Middle East as the style of sex of our ancient ancestors who used to dwell in caves. Among human beings in the world, it is the most widely sex modality. She is lying naked on her back and he's lying on top of her while his cock is inside her pussy and he's having sex with her as if he's digging a hole inside her as sewing her in two. But this is the sexual style that they both don't like. Young Sami, who graduated from university, told his beloved Intisar, who completed the 10th grade, that that classical sex style has been criticized by some contemporary European and American feminists as the kind of abuse of women. They argue that in such a degrading sexual position, the male would subjugate, dominate, and have sex with the female by subjugation, and fuck the woman with his phallus in her pussy. In other words, he will fuck her pussy through coercion. In this way, throughout history, men have subjugated women, sexually abuse them, and possess them as wives and prostitutes. It is the most widely used sex position among male criminals who have sex with females through rape. Feminists also debated and questioned why a woman could not sleep on top of a man, or why or a wife fuck her husband, or a girlfriend screw her boyfriend. Why is the common belief all over the world in sex? It is said that a man fucks a woman. After all, sex is a mutual act, benefit, and sexual pleasure between a male and female. Why is it not said in intercourse between the sexes that the woman is the one who fucks the man? Why people all over the world say that male fucks the female? Furthermore, feminists warn the adulterer not to be the prostitute when he makes love to her with his dick in her pussy. When they both have sex with each other, why does one pay and the other doesn't? If the prostitute gets paid for allowing the man to have sex with her pussy in this way, then she proves to him that she is just a commodity that he can buy and fuck it with his cock inside her pussy until he sexually satisfies himself by throwing his semen into her camel or a pussy and satisfying his greedy and animal lust. After ejaculation, he does not care whether or not she has reached orgasm and sexual satisfaction. For him, this means that her pussy is like an item for sale. So on that very day, the new bride Intisar wants to fuck her groom Sami in her favorite cowgirl sex style. But things do not seem to work out like every day. While she was kissing him and doing everything to prepare him for real sex with his hard cock in her wet pussy, she suddenly felt some tears falling from his eyes on her face. She immediately stopped her fruitless work and looked into his eyes. She was shocked when she saw them both filled with tears and fear. What happened to you, my love? Have you had a bad dreams? Not bad dreams, but bad news. What kind of bad news? Is it about trial? Did they sentence him to death? What kind of bad news? Is it about your father's trial? Did they sentence him to death or set him free? Unfortunately, my wicked father has been declared not guilty of kidnapping, raping, and killing your innocent sister, the late Firdaus. The Khartoum criminal courts has accepted his sham marriage with as a legitimate and acquitted him of all those heinous crimes. Are you sad about that? I'm also saddened and angry at the injustice of the criminal court. How can the judge and jury acquit such an evil man who kidnapped, raped, and killed my innocent sister Firdos? Yes, he is supposed to be sentenced to death, and my father is to be hanged by his genitals for his heinous crimes. But the sad news has nothing to do with my father and his unfair trial today. I'm saddened to hear of other very disturbing news I have received over the phone a few minutes ago. What other sad news are you talking about? Your application for a passport has been rejected and my application has been accepted. When the beautiful naked bride heard the sad news, she fell on her back and buttocks, exposing her hair, pussy, and all kinds of sexuality came out of her mind and body as well. Even the many sexual blessings of Kama Sutra in the ancient Hindu religion books, which she learned through her lover Sami, are broken with her. Tears began to fall from her beautiful eyes onto her soft, rosy cheeks like flood waters during the mid autumn of African tropical rains. Then she took the pillow and laid it on her beautiful face and began to weep bitterly. She feels like the girl who woke up and found her house on fire. She feels deep sadness in her heart and great disturbance in her mind, more than the day she came with her lover Sami, her sisters Farida Firdos, and lawyer Salah from Khartoum city after they spent 3 happy days during their imaginary honeymoon. Then they discovered that an Islamic marriage between her and Hassan Mahjoub al Hilali was concluded in the Grand Mosque without her consultation, consent, or a presence. Now, on their real honeymoon in the Sudanese capital city, all their beautiful plans, promises, and hopes are burning with unquenchable flame. Her sad lover put his hand on her shoulder and comforted her. Please, sweetie, don't cry. It seems there is still a glimmer of hope. Your Coptic friend Suzanne said you could travel outside Sudan without a Sudanese passport. There is something called an emergency travel document that she and her friend Andrea are trying to get from the Red Cross office in Khartoum. Will it be easy to obtain this document? Suzanne seemed hopeful and seemed sure they could have it. Now the other problem is Khartoum International Airport. Most likely your name is also blacklisted at the airport. This means that you cannot obtain a Sudanese passport or a travel by plane or a ship by sea outside the country. Before his pride could respond to the second intractable problem, the phone started ringing again. Sam immediately stood up and took the phone. Yes, Susan, we are waiting for your call. Yes, Intisar woke up. Her name is not on the blacklist at Khartoum International Airport. This is very great news. I will definitely tell her about it. Thank you very much, Susan. And also thanks to your friend Andre for his good police officer who works at the international airport. Okay, bye, Susan. My beloved Intisar, Sami shouted excitedly. Your name is not on the blacklist at Sudan's only international airport. How did Susan know that? Her Coptic boyfriend Andre knows a Southern Christian police officer in the intelligence department who works at Khartoum International Airport. Through that senior responsible officer, they knew that your name is not on the blacklist at the only Sudanese international airport in our country. This means that you are not on the list of no-fly persons who are not allowed to travel abroad or exit through any seaport outside of Sudan. I'm so glad to know this good news. After hearing this wonderful news, the beautiful, naked, and sexy bride expected her handsome groom to rush towards her and press her, and then they could start their fun and sexual pleasure. They still have a lot of fatty dishes on the list of sexual pleasures. She can play the role of a cowgirl and continue the never tear pleasure of sex throughout the joyous evenings and nights of their honeymoon. Instead, she saw his face as sad and gloomy as before. When he put the phone on, Sammy sat on the chair. Despite this, she was not disappointed by his antics. She got out of bed and came and sat on his lap. She is completely naked from head to toe. Sammy felt her warm body, but he controlled himself. Then Intisar brought her lips to his lips and kissed him. She wants him to be in the right mood and start fondling her nude body. She started again jumping up and down and moving her naked body and her big butt over his naked body, rubbing them and spinning in all directions as if she was riding a bicycle in the gymnastics hall while she was completely nude without underwear and bra. She won't mind even if her lover prefers to have sex with her through the hot seat style or a man chair style, which is also called love seat style. She was even prepared to go into any of the many types of sexual positions he had they had learned together from the book of sex patterns that the beautiful Coptic girl Suzanne had given to her Christian friend Intisar, the lovely bride, as their wedding gift. Some of these many sexual styles include, but are not limited to, such as the lazy man style, the sex position that ascend to the sky, the cat and mouse style, the David Copperfield style, which is also known as the trick or treat style as in Halloween, the stand up and delivery position, or the back style dragon position, standing and crushing tiger style, aka hidden snake boss, quick fix style, Montana sex boss, push up and setup style, classic machinery position, which is a male dominant sex style, spoon style, sleepers hold, 69 sex style or a sex position of the inverted 69, upside down or a laying over under sex position, flying butterfly style, also referred to as Kika sofa sex style, lazy girl Suzanne sex style, the bathroom attendant sex method, or as known of its sweet name, the soap drop sex position, iron chef sex style, the secret kitchen sex style, the elevator sex style, the bee's knees sex position, and of course, the sex style that is considered the best friend of the man who is also loved by all males in the world and is called the dog sex style, which is Sammy's favorite method. It is inserting the man's cock into the woman's pussy from behind by controlling her and reaching her cunt by passing the erect dick through her light buttocks and fucking her as long as he can hold on to his ejaculation. But before the lovely Intisar could get her handsome groom to have sex with her in one of those 101 sex positions, the naked bride suddenly heard the doorbell ring loudly, announcing the end of their time for sex pleasure before it begins. The naked bridegroom jumped up at once as if he had de- detected a snake moving under his chair. Then he pushed her away from his lap as if she was no longer his beautiful and sexy bride. Then he got to his feet. His nude bride is about to explode in rage, but she hears him shout out loud and tell her, "They have arrived. You are still completely naked, girl. Hurry up, my dear sir, and put on your dress. Who are they, and why should I run away from them? Am I a thieving girl or a naked whore who needs to hide from people? If they see you like this without your clothes on, they will not believe us if we tell them we are not married yet." In response, Intisar opened her eyes wide and faced him angrily, about to hit him in the face with her fist. She cannot take it anymore. She had put up with enough of the nonsense he had said and done to her that day. How dared he insult her so much and expect her to take it easy? Why should she deny her sacred Christian marriage with him? Does he take her to a homeless girl he found on the streets, or a bed prostitute who sleeps with him at night and then in the morning tells people she is not his wife but only his sex partner, or some kind of mistress kept for the rich man's son? She knows that this is the fairest quarrel between them since they got married, but she decides to make him regret what he told her to say to the guest coming at the door about their holy Christian matrimonial union, and never repeat such insulting words again. How could he deny their marriage so quickly? As Kuku Lot love affair. Although he was Although she was upset, the angry bride could not take revenge when she saw her frightened groom running fast and disappearing into the bathroom. She thought he got scared of her and ran to hide from her beating. Before she came after him and hit him right and left to tell her to hide from others, his her scared marriage with him. Her to hide from others her sacred Christian marriage with him. Her lover saved her from attacking him inside the bathroom when he came out as if he was chased by a terrorist. He is now fully clothed. Why are you still without your clothes? Do you want them to see you naked and without your underwear and proud like a little girl or a crazy woman? Are they the policemen who came to arrest us? They are not policemen. I wish they were law enforcement officers and came to arrest us. Then who are they? Are they the evil spies for the selfish man Hassan? I hope they are the criminals or even the devils of the Satan Hassan. But who are the hell are they? They are our best friends, the newly married couple Salah and Buna, the other two lovers, the good citizens Walid Hamda and your half sister Badriya. They should not know about our abhorrent apostasy from Islam and our disgraceful secret Christian marriage. Why should we hide it? Are we adulterous? Or am I a street whore and you are a rich, egoistical man who fucks me for a handful of your big money? Not like that, sweetie. Then what is the fucking reason which makes us to deny our conversion to Christianity and our holy matrimonial union? Because they are Muslims, and there is no Muslim man or a Muslim woman in the whole world who can tolerate or accept the abhorrent religious actions that we have committed. But if they saw you naked like that, they wouldn't believe the cover of a story, even if we had to tell it with tears and on our knees. Even the Coptic priest, Matta Hanna, who conducted our secret Christian marriage, warned us not to tell our Muslim relatives and friends about our apostasy from Islam and conversion to Christianity and our secret Christian marriage. But what would happen if they found out? They may not accept it and most likely report our apostasy and adultery to the police. My dear groom, what you say is nonsense. Your mouth speaks nonsense without understanding. Your words don't mean anything to me at all. Are you crazy, Sammy? Even your fear is not justified. We should not fear man more than God. Please, sweet Intisar, this is not the time to argue. You should hurry up and put on your underwear and dress. I'll open the door for them. Before she could answer his words, the frightened bridegroom left his astonished bride standing naked, like the day her mother gave birth to her. By then, her lover arrived at the door. The naked girl is confused when she learned that Her Muslim friends have come to visit them, and they are not supposed to know they are a married couple. She started looking for her clothes but couldn't find anything. She put on Sam's shirt. His shirt without the buttoned buttons covered half of her naked body but left her thighs, hips, buttocks, black pubic hair over her pussy, and her navel open and fully exposed. The nude intisar pulled it out of her body and threw it away. Then she grabbed her nightgown and put it on. She figured out that would show her having sex with her boyfriend. Moreover, it is a very see-through shirt, and thus it can show anyone who looks at her that she is not wearing underwear and a bra. Then she started looking for a dress to wear that wouldn't arouse suspicion, but she couldn't find anything. By then, the naked bride inside heard that her close groom, Sami, had opened the door and started welcoming their four Muslim friends. Before their friends walked in and saw her in a secret Christian state of marriage, the new bride ran into the bathroom and disappeared inside. Then she closed the door behind her and waited for the miraculous rescue. Then the lovely and sexy Intisar sat inside the tub completely naked and as if she wanted to enjoy a hot bath. While hiding in the bathtub like a frightened small sparrow bird being chased by a vulture, she heard the voice of her best friend, the new bride Muna, asking the groom Sami about her. Where's my beloved dear friend Intisar, the fairest innocent girl? Asked out loud. I miss her so much. I think she is in the bathroom. Is she taking a shower? I do not think so. Maybe she just went to comb her hair. In that case, I will go to her inside the bathroom. I cannot wait for her to come out. When the new bride Intisar heard the step of her friend Muna, she put her hands on the door to prevent her from entering. Intisar opened the door, please. It is me, your best friend Muna. I really miss you. I miss you too so much. Muna, congratulations on your wedding to Salah. Wait for me outside the bathroom. I am coming soon. Then Intisar heard her friend Muna's footsteps as she was returning. She felt relief for a while. She remembered that sooner or later she had to go out and meet her Muslim friends. She looked at her naked body in the mirror and wondered how she could get out. She knows she cannot go out in her nightgown or her wedding dress. There is no dress in the bathroom that can hide her the fact that she is a new bride. All the clothes are hanging in the closet near the door. She cannot go out and get any dress without the four visitors seeing her. While Intisar was standing near the mirror and looking sadly at her naked body, she heard Muna calling her name again. Can you come out, my dear Intisar, please? I cannot wait for long to see you. Intisar replied while she was still naked. I'm coming. Before her Muslim friend raided the love nest and spoiled her wonderful day, the bride loved to stand naked in front of the mirror and admire the image of her sexy body. Her groom Sami has complimented her sexy naked body and marvelous beauty 100 of times since their secret Christian marriage. She always loves to hear him describe her naked body, starting with her long hair, then her face, eyes, eyebrows, lips, cheeks, nose, shoulders, buttocks, thighs, hips, pussy, and pubic black hair. For the first time, she hated her sexy nude body. She wished she hadn't taken off all her clothes last night and slept naked. She longs for the black burqa of an Afghani Muslim girl or the abaya and niqab of a Muslim Saudi woman to hide her naked body and beautiful face. She wished she had died the night she slept in the cemetery and was buried in the grave of her late sister, the second innocent girl Firdos. Finally, the third innocent girl Intisar wished that she had not been born as a female to face such a day. The bride foolishly asked herself why she has breasts and a pussy and not a cock and a mustache like her groom, Sammy. She told herself, if I were a boy, I wouldn't mind going out naked. Meanwhile, the nude girl is waiting for her lover to come to save her. But he does not come. Intisar began praying for divine intervention. When neither her God nor her lover saved her, the naked bride lifted her wedding dress and put it on. Then she looked at herself in the mirror. She realized that even the blind person would know that she's a new bride and she slept with her groom and lost her virginity, and thus her husband tasted the sweetness of her honey through enjoying her body and pussy, and she, as a wife, tasted the pleasure of his big cock. So she takes off her wedding dress and becomes naked again. Then she looked for her little red underwear but couldn't find it. Intisar remembered that the sexy red swimsuit was lying somewhere on the red carpet near the bed. She took out her nightgown and put it on again. Then she stared at her reflection in the mirror. How does she meet her Muslim friend in this transparent white nightie? They will surely know that she had sex with Sami as a husband and wife, or committed adultery as an unmarried lovers. She wishes she could turn into a baler of ice and melt in the bathtub and disappear forever. But she knows such a fantasy wish would never happen to her. Intisar once again heard her friend Mona calling her name. My dear friend Intisar, I will count from 1 to 10, and if you don't come out of the bathroom, I will take my husband, my handsome groom Salah, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The friend Mona is not serious about her threat. She just wants to meet and cuddle her best friend Intisar because she misses her. Before the new bride Mona could reach number 10 on her count, the sexy nude bride Intisar came out of her shell. It is like a caterpillar emerging from its cocoon and becoming a beautiful, colorful butterfly with wings, or a burqa-clad Muslima girl streaming off her ugly black coffin and becoming Miss World in a swimsuit that exposed all the parts of her sexy body. She's wearing her white nightgown, which is very transparent. Every part of her nude body could be seen clearly. She doesn't have a bra or her big on her big breast or a skimpy underwear covering her hair pussy. She is barefoot. Her hair is not combed. Looks very sexy. She can make the breast of a chair or the imam of a boss fall at her feet and kiss them before beginning her be- begging her to allow him commit adultery with her as Adam did with Eve and caused God to expel them out of the Garden of Eden. The sexy nude bride also looked very worried and scared. Her left hand covers the upper part of her breasts and the lower part of her thighs. At the same time, her right hand covers the black pubic hair of her hairy cunt. Her face is looking down. Her lover Sami was very impressed to see her in a nightgown. The other two boys, Salah and Walid, turned their faces in the opposite direction. The two girls, Muna and Badriya, were surprised to see her in such a transparent white dress. The other new bride asked in astonishment, are you a new bride like me too? Sami said quickly, she is not yet. Badriya innocently asked, why then Intisar is wearing a dress that looks like a wedding dress or a nightgown? The groom Sami and the bride Intisar remained silent. They conclude that as if they have been caught red-handed in the very act of committing adultery by four Muslim witnesses, Salah, Muna, Walid, and Badriya. According to the Sharia law, adultery can be proven through four witnesses who saw the dick of adulterer is inserted inside the pussy of the adulteress. But the way Intisar exposed her nakedness before their Muslim friends could prove without a shadow of a doubt with 100% accuracy that she committed adultery with Sami and he's fucking her pussy with his dick day in and day out in the hotel room. Even a result of a DNA test can give a proven accuracy of their adultery not more than 99%. I think I can explain to you guys the misunderstanding that you are in, said Al-Muhami Al-Zaki Salah, or the clever advocate of justice. All eyes of of boyfriends and girlfriends, including Intisar and Sami, were directed toward the recognized smart Sudanese lawyer. But all expected that he could not find a way to justify the second biggest sex scandal in the capital city of Sudan after the one committed by the great politician Mr. Mahjoub al-Hilali and the unfaithful married woman Mrs. Raja Shukrallah, the wife of the angry soldier Abbas ibn Farnas. Even the newly married couple, Sami and Intisar, doubted that the genius friend Salah will, with all his shrewdness and wit, could not could find a justifiable explanation to get them out of their precarious precarious and scandalous situation. Despite their reasonable doubts, the clever lawyer said in a wavering voice, in order to stay in a hotel together, the two intimate lovers, Intisar and Sami, must be retained to be husband and wife. Otherwise, they would not be allowed to live together in one room. The law in our country does not allow any hotel to rent a bedroom to two Muslim lovers if they are not married according to the Holy Quran of God and the blessed Sunnah of His infallible Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. Even Sudanese Christians and Western foreigners are not allowed to enter the hotel if they are not married according to their religious laws and their secular norms in their countries. They must first present their marriage certificate or their passport to prove their blood relationship as father and daughter, brother and sister, or a husband and wife. Yes, our best friend Salah is right, Sami shouted quickly. We lied to the hotel management and booked ourselves as husband and wife. But we sleep at night separately. I sleep on the floor and Intisar sleeps alone in the big bed. She always preferred to sleep in her transparent nightgown because she trusts me as her faithful lover, that I would neither violate her privacy nor try to rape her. She is still a sealed virgin, just like a virgin of paradise. This saves you both money and trouble, says Walid. Instead of renting two separate rooms, you can stay together in the same room and pretend you are a newly married couple. Surely it has saved us money and protect us from many other problems. The groom Sami continues with his white lies. The bride Intisar is still not convinced that her two girlfriends, Muna and Badriya, believe such obvious lies. They are girls and they know that no boy can see a girl as beautiful and sexy as her, and every night he goes to sleep peacefully on the floor as if he were her guardian angel. Even a Christian priest or a monk or an Islamic imam or a Maulana cannot leave this amazing and sexy beauty to sleep with them in the same hotel room and spare her at night. Even if a devout religious clerk could not convince her to commit adultery with him, he would certainly rape her and go to hell to burn for his unforgivable sin forever. Even if he is tied to strong chains, he will cut off his chains, attack her, and rape her while she is alive and fuck her sexy body, devouring a fresh apple in the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the lost paradise, just like a dog raping its bitch, or a cock its hen. Anyway, the two girls, Muna and Badriya, went to the half-naked girl, the sexy bride Intisar, and each of them grabbed one of her hands and took her to the balcony to whisper their secrets and gossip. While their three friends, Salah, Walid, and Sami, stayed in the hotel room. We learned from the Coptic girl, Susan, that you and Intisar were planning to travel abroad, but she did not tell us the details, says Salah. Yes, we have applied for refugee asylums, and if we get them, we are expecting to be sent by the United nation for resettlement in a Western country such as the USA, Canada, or Australia. We hope that our applications will be accepted on the basis of the harassment that Intisar is subjected to by the Sharia court, the policeman, and her alleged Muslim husband, Hassan Mahjoub al Hilali. Do you think that the UN office in Sudan will grant you the status of these Eritrean refugees? Walid asks. Of course, they will if we can prove to them the blood of these evil people and the so-called verdict of obedience that promoted Intisar to flee Gadar city and wander aimlessly through the streets of Khartoum city. Wherever she went, she was sexually harassed, treated like a sex slave, and twice narrowly escaped attempted rape. Due to her dire circumstances, she was forced to attempt suicide in the waters of the Nile River. At the last moment, God saved her life, and brought her home to the loving Coptic family. The lover Sami deliberately spoke without mentioning to his two Muslim friends, Salah and Walid, that the bells of the Christian church saved the life of his Muslim beloved girlfriend, Intisar, who was drowning in the depths of the raging waters of the Nile River and was a lifeline for her in the last moments. It is sad to hear that an innocent girl like our dear friend Intisar has gone through such hardships in her home country, Sudan, says Salah, and then goes on to say that even Eritrean girls who are refugees in our country do not face such persecutions from the law in Sudan. Walid says, I hope it works out for you both, but I have never heard of someone who was granted refugee status in his own country. Yes, Walid is right, says Lawyer Salah. It is assumed that refugee status will be obtained in a country other than the country of the person who was persecuted politically, religiously, or ethnically in his country, and therefore fled or was displaced outside his motherland and took refuge in a strange homeland. Despite this restriction, United Nations has recently built camps for southern refugees in Sudan in the towns of Babanusa and Al Mudlid. This means that they have become refugees in their own country, Sudan, which is a very sad situation for them. Even today, you can hear about Syrian and Iraqi refugees living in refugee camps in Syria and Iraq. Well, it says it depends on the legal representative who will conduct your interviews at the UN office in Khartoum City. Recognized lawyer Salah says, some in search should hope for the best but beware for the worst. What I mean to say is that if their applications are rejected, I suggest that they either flee to south of Sudan or cross the border and take refuge in Egypt. Whatever happens, it is not safe for them to stay in this country where love between a rich boy and a poor girl is considered a serious crime, and a young woman can easily be sold into marriage without her knowledge or consent by her brother or a father. Thank you, my dear friend Salah, says Sami. You always give us the best advice. It was because of you that my persecuted friend Intisar managed to escape from Hassan's spies and policemen. If we are not granted refugee status in Sudan, we will follow your wise advice and act accordingly. After receiving this good advice, the two friends, Sami and Walid, spent the rest of the time listening to the recognized Sudanese lawyer, Salah, telling his opinions and criticisms about the unfair trial of the evil old man and his gang who kidnapped and raped to death the second innocent underage girl Firdaus. When this topic was over, Sami recounted in detail how the third innocent girl Intisar had suffered in Khartoum city until the loving Coptic family found her in their church as a homeless beggar and adopted her as their own daughter and treated her just like her new Christian friend Suzanne. He did not mention anything about their apostasy from Islam, their conversion to Christianity, and their secret Christian marriage. Likewise, Intisar told her best friend Muna and her half sister Badriya how she spent days wandering aimlessly through the streets of Khartoum without food or shelter, recounting her tragedy. The two girls shed tears. Now and then they embraced her and wept bitterly as if they had lost someone very dear to them. At 8:30 p.m., the four Muslim friends, Salah, Muna, Walid, and Badriya, bid farewell to their best friends Intisara and Sami and left the hotel. Before they went, they told them that they would travel to Kadarif city the next day. Intisara and Sami promised their friends that they would inform them of all their travel procedures until they left the country. What a pity! When the four Muslim friends left, four spies of Hassan followed them and two stayed behind to watch the hotel. The spies of the evil old man and selfish rival lover Hassan have been looking for a way to lead them to the hideout of the so-called Muslim disobedient runaway wife Intisar. For a very long time they found nothing. They finally found the clue that took them to Hassan's missing bride. When the four friends walked hand in hand outside the Khartoum criminal courtroom, stopped a taxi and gave the driver the address of the hotel that the Coptic girl Suzanne had given to the lawyer Salah. Six spies stopped two taxis and followed the four friends' cab. Those that day, as soon as their four Muslim friends leave their hotel room, the beautiful bride and her handsome groom embrace each other as they are about to start their all night sex fun. Do you think, my love, that our friends believe us when we told them we were not married? The half naked bride whispered in the ear of her bridegroom. Yes, they probably believed Salah's white lie if none of them had seen that little piece of my underwear lying there. The eyes of the handsome groom followed his pretty bride's finger to what she was pointing at. He was astonished when he saw her red underwear or a swimsuit or her sexy little red lingerie lying in front of the big bed while it was staring the whole time at the faces of their four Muslim friends. Chapter 72: The Dire Conditions of Eritrean Refugees in Sudan. At the time when the newly married Sudanese couple Intisar and Sami falsely claimed that they were foreign refugees in their home country, there were more than a million Eritrean refugees in Sudan. Hundreds and sometimes in thousands of displaced foreigners cross the Cuban border every day and enter Sudanese soil. They walk for days. On the way, they will be without edible things to eat and healthy water to drink. Most of them walk barefoot with little clothing on their bodies to protect them from the harsh heat of the blazing African sun during the day. They will be troubled by millions of flies during the day and billions of mosquitoes at night. Many of them will die on the way due to lack of food and water. Some of them will be killed by wild beasts, poisonous snakes, and scorpions. Toddlers will turn into skeletons
with big heads. When you see them, they look like scary creatures, just like black ghosts. Old and young look like people came out of their graves. They can hardly be accepted as living human beings. They carry on their emaciated bodies all kinds of diseases and viruses. Most UN staff, workers, doctors, and nurses are afraid to touch or approach them. Every few minutes, many of them die, and no one can bury their bodies. Once these Eritrean refugees enter Sudan, UN officials will receive them and keep them in the refugee camps. There are two camps to house them: emergency camps and settlement camps. Emergency camps have been set up near the border. Those who survive are put into those frontier camps. After receiving proper food and medical care, they will be transferred to settlement camps. These permanent camps or settlement camps are located near large Sudanese towns and cities. According to UN regulations, these refugees are not allowed to go out unless they get notarized written permissions from the police authority in their camps. Permission will be granted to refugees who have real reasons to leave their camps. Reasons such as a serious illness or permits granted by the United Nations to a selected few to travel to Sudanese capital city and apply for resettlement in developed Western countries. This permission must not exceed 3 weeks. If a refugee is found outside the camp without such official papers, he will be arrested by the Sudanese police and returned to the camp. Camp life may be suitable.
These refugees who have come from villages and small towns in Ethiopia, city Eritrean people find this life very boring. There is no kind of entertainment. From morning to evening, refugees will stand in lines to get their food and medicine. Otherwise, they will spend the time sitting idly near their tents or inside their small huts. This kind of life will not be accepted by Eritrean high school and university students. These refugee boys and girls usually flee the camps and enter major Sudanese cities. Then they will seek work to satisfy their needs. When they collect enough money, they will move to Khartoum city. They will go to foreign embassies and apply for resettlement in advanced Western countries such as the USA, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. While moving from one place to another in Sudan, young refugees face many problems. Some of these problems are caused by Sudanese citizens and others by the policemen or military soldiers. Whenever these young refugees fall into the hands of the police officers,
Soldiers,
they will be arrested and threatened with being sent back to their camps.
if the refugees, these young refugees fall, whenever these young refugees fall into the hands of the police or officers,
The soldiers, they will be arrested and threatened with being sent back to their camps. If the refugee is a male, he will have to buy his freedom by paying a sum of money as a bribe. But if it is a girl, she will have to redeem her freedom by offering her body in exchange for free sex. Even those girls and boys who are given official permission papers to get out of their camps, the police authority will try to find errors in those documents. They will be held at isolated police checkpoints located on the highways far from towns and cities. If the arrested refugee If the arrested refugees refuse to empty their pockets as bribes and offer their bodies for free sex, they will be subjected to physical torture and rape. Of course, such an evil practice cannot be generalized, but of course, such an evil practice cannot be generalized, but most of the policemen and military soldiers in Sudan do it and are proud of it among their friends, colleagues, and relatives. Besides, most of the young girls work as maids in Sudanese homes. They would be sexually harassed, assaulted, and raped by the male members of those houses. Many Eritrean girls and Ethiopian maids have been raped by the employers who employed them in their homes, shops, and offices. Even refugee young women who work in the market as waitresses in restaurants or a receptionist and housekeepers in hotels are often sexually assaulted and raped by their Sudanese male colleagues and employers. That is why some of these refugee girls will eventually be driven to the point of selling their bodies as street girls or prostitutes in brothels and bars to make a living. So, in every city in Sudan, most of the prostitutes are Ethiopians and Eritrean girls. For many Sudanese men, the name of the Ethiopian girl is associated with a prostitute. Sometimes brothels are called Abyssinians' houses or Asuban prostitutes' homes. These are the sad and painful conditions experienced by the Eritrean refugees in Sudan when the Coptic girl Suzanne suggested that the alleged fugitive disobedient Muslim wife Intisar should claim that she is an Eritrean girl in need of international protection through political asylum in Sudan, a resettlement in a Western country. Then she can apply for refugee status from the United Nations office in Khartoum City. Her baptism certificate and her Christian marriage contract do not show which country she belongs to. When Suzanne realizes that Sami cannot travel on his Sudanese passport with the Eritrean refugee girl Intisar as a husband and wife, he is also transformed into an Eritrean boy. According to the Nations office, if an Eritrean refugee girl marries a Sudanese man, she can claim Sudanese citizenship. In this case, she has no problem living permanently in her husband's country. Wherefore, her application for resettlement in any Western country will be denied. The refugee status was granted to the married couple Intisar and Sami for the following reasons. One, there is no freedom of religious conversion from Islam to Christianity in Sudan. Therefore, if they are discovered, they will be killed as apostates. Two, the half brother of Intisar, the criminal Umar, married her to his evil, drunken friend Hassan, and that happened without her knowledge, presence, or consent. Three, when she refused to live with her brother's friend as husband and wife, the Sharia court judge issued a verdict of obedience against her and tried to take her by force through the policeman to the house of obedience to her alleged legal Muslim husband. Four, for this reason, the so-called disobedient Muslim wife Intisar fled from her family's house in the city of Gadarif and came to hide from the policemen in the city of Khartoum. Five, while roaming aimlessly in the streets of Sudanese capital city without money, food, shoes, or a shelter, the runaway girl Intisar was sexually harassed by several men. She survived two rape attempts. Six, her first attempted rape occurred the day a BIM lady known as Al Nafisa deceived her and tried to force her into prostitutions. She took her to her brothel house and promised that she would provide her with shelter, food, and a good job. Therefore, she seduced her that she would earn a lot of money through that bride promise. But in reality, the Bim woman, Mother Nafisa, intended to make her newly adopted daughter Intisar as a high-ranking prostitute. Intisar did not know that she had been brought to a brothel house until someone assaulted her while she was sleeping and tried to rape her. She escaped from this brothel in the middle of the night and spent the rest of her night sleeping all alone in spooky graveyards called Maghabir Awla Sherfi. 7. The second rape attempt occurred when she was working as a maid, or rather a slave, in the house of a military major named Said al Sanosni. In that house, she was treated like a lowly maid and a cheap sex slave. And so, in the middle of the night, the major attempted to rape her. She was miraculously saved by his wife. After that, his wife beat her and kicked her out of her house at 4 a.m. She accused her of being a bad prostitute who came to her house to tempt and seduce her good husband through her bad dress and have exposed naked body and made him to commit adultery with her. Then the Exibel homeless girl in Cesare spent the rest of that night sleeping in a fisherman's boat. 8. When all doors of hopes were closed in her face, Intisar attempted suicide. Fortunately, when only her neck remained on the surface of the waters of the Nile River, she heard the ringing of Christian church bells and changed her mind. Then she got out of the Nile River and went to that church where she met a very loving Coptic family. Those Copts adopted her and treated her ever since as their own daughter. 9. Through their unfailing love which the good Copts showed to her and comparing their Christian values with the laws of her Islamic Sharia, the fugitive Muslim wife fleeing from justice and the verdict of obedience, Intisar left Islam, converted to Christianity, and became a Christian girl. 10. As a university graduate and high school student, Sama and Intisar were unable to find suitable jobs in Sudan. They would also like to do more university studies in a Western country. These 10 compelling reasons promoted the United Nations office in Khartoum City to accept their application. Once their applications were accepted and they were granted refugee status, Intisar and Sami went to the British Embassy and applied for resettlement in Canada. Canada does not have an embassy in Sudan, and this is why the British Embassy does its business in Khartoum. At the embassy, the two lovers got many large and complicated official papers to fill out. It took them a day to complete those documents. Also, along with the numerous official papers, they are asked to fill out long questionnaires. These questionnaires are required to identify their political and religious activities that led them to flee their native land, Eritrea, and came and become refugees in their new host country, Sudan. Upon submission of these documents and questionnaires, they were called for interviews. Then their interviews were conducted and their cases accepted. After that, the two persecuted lovers received medical forms and were told to go for medical examinations. The result of the medical examination showed that the beautiful bride Intisar is pregnant by her handsome groom Sami. This is the happiest news the newly wed lovers hear in their lives. Finally, the newly married friends received their immigrant visas and free airline tickets. With, with these important documents in hand, the newly married couple went to the Red Cross office and received emergency travel documents. This migration and resettlement process from Sudan to Canada took just over a month to complete. At that time, Sami and Intisar lived in the home of Reverend Matta Hanna, disguised as Eritrean refugees. Their plan worked well, and the two Spies did not recognize them when they left the hotel and moved into the Coptic family's residence. From the hotel, the last hope of spies disappeared. When his hope to locate his so-called disobedient Muslim wife fleeing from the rule of obedience was frustrated, Hassan reduced the number of his spies to three again. The wife's restaurant servant James and his four Christian co-workers have been kicked out by the selfish, rejected lover Hassan. He did this because he decided to steal the huge amount of money given to him by the rich old man to pay them for their spy services. By the way, after his after his exit from the abyss, Satan incarnate Usman al-Tayyib and his evil Imam Maulana Satan Marzouk are staying in a five-star hotel in Khartoum City. Then the so-called legitimate Muslim husband, the despicable Hassan of the alleged disobedient Muslim wife Intisar, left Khartoum city and returned to the city of Gadarif with the notorious womanizer Mr. Fattah Karrar. The Wonder Man Fattah wanted to take the Wonder Girl Paula with him to work as a housemaid during the day and a sex slave at night. But Hassan rejected his proposal. The rival lover refused to accept Paula into his house as a sex slave because the notorious womanizer Fattah raped her out of wedlock and actually made her pregnant with his baby. Hassan is afraid that the Muslim neighbors might stone to death the adulterer Fattah and the adulteress Paula if they find out that she gave birth to an illegal jinni or an illegitimate child. The Wonder Man said he could not marry the Wonder Girl because she was an infidel Christian and he already had four Muslim wives hanging on his ropes. He knows that Islamic law will not allow him to marry more than four women at the same time. At first, he decided to treat Paula as his
female slave and have sex with her without marriage. Hassan told him that such an inhumane slavery sex practice was permissible at the time of the Prophet Muhammad and his four rightly guided caliphs and the Muslims who followed them until the mid 28th century. But today, because of the Charter of Human Rights, such halal Islamic sexual activities that were practiced by Muslim men in the recent past are considered sexual slavery and will put him in great trouble with women rights and human rights activists in Sudan. Therefore, he may go to be
convicted as a slave trader like Al-Diber Basha, who used to enslave thousands of Sudanese and the womanizer like Osman al-Tayyib or Habib executed before his adulterous boss Mahjoub al-Hilali, who is being held in the intensive care unit in a hospital in Kobert prison stored today. Behind them, Hassan and Fattah left the chief spy Tia and his two thugs, Jigir and Nisir, to search all over the country for the disobedient runaway Muslim bride Intisar. Tia decided to stay in Khartoum city and send his two men to other places in the triangular outskirts of the capital city to continue searching for the wanted wife. 2 weeks later, the rejected selfish lover, the despicable Hassan, married his cousin, a classmate of Intisar's school for girls. Her name is Sausan Mamoon Al Hilali. She is legally considered his second Muslim wife. After the wedding, the groom Hassan Mahjoub Al Hilali decided to take his new bride, Sausan Mamoon Al Hilali, to Khartoum city for their honeymoon. He chose to spend his honeymoon in Khartoum, hoping to find his beautiful missing runaway bride Intisar. He wants to be a polygamist and have two wives at the same time, while the new groom Hassan and his sex slave, the new bride Sausan, are traveling to Khartoum. He discovered that the newlywed lovers Salah and Muna are traveling with them on the same bus. A demonic idea entered his evil mind. He guessed correctly. that this couple could take him to the hideout of his sweet runaway fairest Muslim wife Intisar and her handsome lover Sami. He knows that his fairest wife is a million times more beautiful than his second wife. That is why the selfish and lustful man wants by hook or by crook to reach her, sleep with her sexy body, enjoy the sweetness of her beauty, which has no equal in his country. Even if he would fuck her small pussy with his big dick for one day and one night, only after that, if the police send her to the gallows and hang her to death, he would not care about her execution. Chapter 73. Farewell party for the two immigrant lovers. The selfish lover Hassan, who is like a Bobby dog in love with the beautiful, sexy bride, innocent girl Intisar, decide to follow the two lovers, Salah and Muna, wherever they go until he discovers their place of residence and why they are traveling to Khartoum. He is quite sure that they will take him to the hideout of his escaped Muslim wife Intisar. The last time he saw them was inside the criminal court in Khartoum, Bahri, when the cursed old man was tried and acquitted of his heinous crimes of kidnapping, raping, torturing, and killing the second innocent girl Firdaus. Through the bleeding of the recognized lawyer for the second victim of kidnapping, rape, and murder, Hassan learned that the fairest innocent girl Muna had become his legitimate Muslim wife and thus replaced his late beloved Firdaus in his wounded heart. On that day, after the end of the emperor's ruling, Hassan ordered his spies to follow the newly married couple Salah and Muna along with the other two friends Walid and Badriya. Although the four friends Salah, Muna, Walid and Badriya did not know that they were being followed all along, they unknowingly took Hassan's spies to the hotel where the newly married Christian lovers Sami and Intisar were spending their honeymoon. After their short visit and leaving the hotel, four spies followed them, with two remaining behind. Those spies continued to follow the four good lovers until they returned with them to their city Gadarif the next day. The two remaining spies spent a few days watching the hotel without discovering Sami or Intisar's hiding place. When they were unable to see the runaway rebellious wife who was wanted to be found, arrested, and transported by the police authority to the house of obedience, her alleged husband Hassan asked them to leave the hotel and resume their previous search in different places in the capital city of Sudan. After that, the remaining three spies did not discover the place where the alleged fugitive disobedient Muslim wife Intisar was hiding and thus failed to hand her over to the police authority and the house of obedience to her so-called legitimate Muslim husband. On that day, when the Al Taysir bus reached its final destination, the two lovers, Salah and Muna, took a taxi and traveled to the Star Hotel, which is located near Khartoum International Airport. The groom Hassan and his sex slave, the new bride Sausan, followed them in another taxi. The new bride has no idea what is going on in her evil groom's mind. Then the selfish lover Hassan called Chiftia and gave him the address of the Star Hotel and asked him to keep on an eye on Salah Hamuna. Then he took his bride Sausan to a nearby hotel and booked a room for their honeymoon. Although he does not love the new bride, he marries her to satisfy his insatiable sexual lust, which only the fires of hell can satisfy. He's still a love puppy maddened by his sexual obsession with the unmatchable beauty of his so-called disobedient and runaway Muslim fairest wife Intisar. He believed that she has become his legitimate Muslim wife by divine right granted by God Almighty and His honorable Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. And her guardian criminal, her brother Omar, conducted by the Imam of the largest mosque in his city. So, by the power of the police, he had the right to bring her into the house of his obedience. Then he can treat her as his wife, maid, and sexual slave. I rape her pussy with his cock day and night until he subjugates her with his whip and tames her with his stick, transforming her from a disobedient, rebellious, runaway wife into a submissive and obedient slave girl, like a domestic animal such as a dog, a goat, a donkey, or a cow. When he feels sexually satisfied with his first and second wives, Intisar and Sausan, he can search for two additional underage teenage girls and include them as a third wife and a fourth wife to the list of his harem women. His crazy love for what the judge of the Sharia court considered to be his disobedient first Muslim wife Intisar will eventually turn into a mere sexual predatory lust for a sexy female body of a beautiful teenage girl of 17 years of age. When that selfish lust is satisfied, he will treat her as a human body lacking in religion and reason and will use her as his maidservant and harm her as a slave in every evil way possible. It is like a piece of fresh meat he devoured and finally came out of his filthy ass like his rotten boob. Islam allows him to go and find new ties for another teenage girl, buy her as a third wife, rape and assault her, as he used to do with his first wife Intisar and his second wife Sausan. The same Quranic verse in Surah Al-Nisa 4 verse 3 allows him to find another virgin pussy of an underage girl and rape her as wife number 4. Anyway, on that day, the newlywed lovers, Salah and Muna, as the selfish Hassan expected, came to Khartoum city to meet the newly married couple Intisar and Sami and bid them farewell. On the same evening, the Christian girl Suzanne and her Coptic family organized a small farewell party for the newlywed lovers who are immigrating on the following day to the promised land of Canada, which overflows with milk, honey, and abundant money. A very select few are invited to the farewell private party, and it was Sami who insisted on inviting his close friend Salah Ahmed Hassan Saleh and his beautiful bride, the fairest innocent girl, Mona Salahuddin Hashim. The Coptic priest Matta Hanna advised Sami and Intisar not to inform anyone about their conversion to Christianity or to invite their Muslim friends or relatives to their secret holy Christian marriage. He also expressed his firm belief that, based on his many experience in dealing with apostate Muslims who descended from the Nuba Mountains and the Darfur region, therefore his wise advice is that the new Muslim apostates Intisar and Sami should not tell anyone about their immigrations trip to Canada and their forward party. The apostate Muslim Intisar accepted the wise advice of her Christian spiritual leader, but her beloved Sami insisted on informing and inviting their two best Muslim friends, Salah and Muna. Although the Coptic pastor Matta Hanna had given wise advice to the two apostate lovers and is a faithful servant of Jesus Christ and a shepherd of his sheep in his church, an anointed man of God with the Holy Spirit, he has made other grave mistakes and critical important decisions. What he had to do was make an agreement with his daughter Suzanne and her boyfriend Andre to use lies to help God exodus their renegade lovers Intisar and Sami. The Bible shows us that God does not need our lives to help Him. If we trust in Him, He will surely help us, no matter how intractable or our problems are. He will do more good things for us and bless us more than we can do for ourselves. And the Bible says there is nothing too difficult for the Lord. God shut the hungry lion's mouths and saved the life of his faithful servant Daniel. God also extinguished the furnace of fire and saved his three servants, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Having said that, I would like to add that the Coptic Christian family should not have encouraged Intisar and Sami to lie at the United Nations office in Khartoum city by falsely claiming to be Eritrean refugees, when in fact they are citizens born in Sudan. This was the fairest big mistake and in the eyes of God a lie and a sin. That fairest big lie spawned many others, as we shall see. They lied to the authority of the British Embassy acting on behalf of Canadian immigration and obtained two immigrant visas and two free airline tickets to resettle in Toronto City. They also lied to the Red Cross office and received emergency documents to travel abroad without their Sudanese passports. They finally lied to the Khartoum police force and obtained good conduct permits from the Sudanese police for Sami and Sar to allow them to travel abroad to the country that hosted them as Eritrean refugees. We hope that the so-called white lies will not prevent their exit or escape from Sudan, but travel with them to Canada and close this endless chapter of extreme persecution, abuse, and gross injustice of the two intimate innocent lovers. One last thing I should mention before we leave this unpleasant topic of white lying and head straight to the goodbye party. The young Muslim born Sami Osman al Tayyib did not really convert to Christianity, and therefore his baptism with water as a true Christian believer in Christ and is married to his apostate Muslim girlfriend who truly, sincerely, in heart and mind converted to Christianity is another grave and unforgivable sin. As we mentioned earlier, the apostate Muslim girl Intisar left Islam and became a Christian girl without being brainwashed by any of the Christians she resides with, or she did so for cheap worldly gains such as obtaining money or an immigration visa for a Western country, or even because she wanted to marry her Muslim lover Sabi. She did so when she contrasted Islamic laws with Christian religious values and her life as a Muslim girl with that of her Coptic friend Suzanne. Her personal comparison made her understand that Christianity was revealed by God from heaven to his chosen prophets and apostles from among the children of Israel, and that Islam was inspired by Satan to the false Arab prophet Muhammad. However, despite not being invited, the three Zaks, Tia, Nasir, and Jigir also attended the farewell party for the two immigrant friends. They did not enter the Coptic dwelling, but stationed themselves near the house and awaited the possible appearance of the disobedient, fleeing Muslim wife Intisar. The other two friends, Salah and Muna, who still don't know that they are being followed, bring the three spies to the Coptic house with them. So, from a place hidden under a shade of a big Nima tree in a nearby street with weather eyes open, the dangerous spy Tia, Kuku, son of Satan, and the two Zaks, Jigir and Nisir, kept watch over the Coptic family home. But until then, they did not see anyone attending the party except Salah and Muna. At 12:30 midnight, they saw the two lovers, Salah and Muna, leave the house and took a taxi back to their room at the Star Hotel near the international airport. The chief of spies, Tia, followed them alone to the hotel, while Nisr and Jigir were ordered to continue monitoring the residence of the Christian infidels. While returning to the hotel, the lovers, Salah and Muna, noticed this time that there was another taxi following their taxi. The suspicious taxi is getting closer and closer to their taxi. At first, they thought it was just a coincidence that the other taxi was going in the same direction as their direction. However, Salah suspected that the second taxi driver might be driving one of those horrible spies of the rejected lover, Hassan. To confirm or disprove his suspicions, he asked his taxi driver to make a few turns. When the other taxi takes the same turns, Salah and Muna are absolutely certain that they are being followed by a human spying on them. Next, the clever lawyer decided to see if the person in the other taxi had a familiar face. Then he told their cab driver to turn onto a deserted road and stop. The driver followed his order, turned onto a secluded road, and then stopped abruptly. The other taxi nearly collides with them before its driver slams on the brakes and stops. It was at that moment that Salah was able to get a full view of the evil spy Kiftia Kuku, the devil's father. He sits next to the other taxi driver as if he were two fat people in one big body. His massive body and large head made the cabbie next to him look like a small decimal point in front of a number or a zero to the right of one being making number 10. If Salah discovered that the angel of death, Israfil, was following them, he might not have been so frightened as now when he discovered the devil embodied inside the other taxi. After overcoming the unpleasant shock, he guessed correctly that the other two spies had most likely been ordered by their leader to watch the Coptic family home all night in the hope of discovering the hiding place of the fleeing Muslim wife Intisar. When they arrived at their hotel, Lawyer Salah immediately contacted the two immigrant lovers, Intisar and Sami, who were supposed to be shortly among the Sudanese diaspora, and told them about the leader of the selfish, rejected lover Hassan's spy. By then, the Coptic girl, Suzanne, her family members, and the two intimate lovers, Sami and Intisar, were all getting ready for bed. The dreadful news drove sleep out of everyone's eyes, and a quick and long family meeting was held at once to discuss the serious matter. After a, a lot of discussion and quoting many verses from the Holy Bible that talk about God protecting his sheep that hear his voice and follow him, the members of the meeting, Christians reached a joint decision not to travel Intisar and Sami in the same plane. The spies could easily identify them if they left the Coptic home together and went to Khartoum International Airport. After that, the so-called disobedient fleeing Muslim wife Intisar will be detained and sent to prison. Soon after, the police will send her to the house of obedience to her alleged Muslim husband Hassan in his city, Al Gadarif. In such case, the Christian husband Sami may travel alone to the promised land without his beloved Christian wife Intisar. The good and loving members of the Coptic family realized that they had not only transformed the Muslim girl fleeing from the Islamic court of justice in heart, mind, and soul, but also changed her outward appearance into a completely different girl, which made their Muslim neighbors think that She was an assuming Christian girl. Even her mother, Sarah, or her sister, Farida, might not recognize her if she walked before their eyes. Unfortunately, this is not the case with the Muslim boy Sami. They were not able to transform him spiritually into a Christian boy, nor change him physically in his outward appearance into Eritrean refugee or an Abyssinian Christian. He remained the same as a Muslim boy who thugs who were following him from the house of the prostitute to the house of Allah, the mosque, travel with him on the same bus to Khartoum city and are about to walk with him in the Christian chair. They will easily recognize him as soon as they see him. This brilliant idea of flying in two different planes was criticized at first, but when there wasn't much time left, the Coptic family and the two persecuted lovers clung to it. When this collective decision is reached, newlyweds Intisara and Sami have been have have only 14 hours left to escape the country of persecution and abuse and travel to a promised land overflowing with honey and money. The next morning, through Suzanne's friend Andre, the Intisar flight was changed from British Airways to Qatar Airways. Her new flight is scheduled for 3 p.m. The beloved bride will travel to Germany via Hamada International Airport in Doha. The Hamad International Airport in Doha, state of Qatar, and arrive at Frankfurt International Airport 4 hours before her beloved groom's flight, which will leave Khartoum International Airport at 7 p.m. Sami has a direct flight from Sudan to Germany. For 7 long hours, Intisar will await him at Frankfurt International Airport. The lovers will meet there 3 hours before their next flight, and the happy husband and wife will board a Canadian flight to Toronto International Airport. Then the two happy persecuted lovers will sit together and fly peacefully across the Atlantic Ocean and land miraculously in the promised land and live happily ever after like the ancient Christian pilgrims who were religiously persecuted in Europe and fled to the New World and founded the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, which today represents the pinnacle of Western civilization. After all these arrangements were successfully completed, there were only 4 hours left for the so-called disobedient Muslim wife, the fugitive and legally wanted Intisar Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir to go to Khartoum International Airport. Then she can start her happy flight and fly forever outside the Islamic kingdom of Tartars, Sudan, and immigrate to the paradise of the Christian infidels, Canada, on the North American continent. Chapter 74. The runaway Muslim wife at Khartoum International Airport. At exactly 1 p.m., the Christian bride Intisar came out of the makeup room, followed by her Coptic friend Suzanne. Every member of the family is amazed to see her. She no longer had the same face, hair, dress, or even the gait she used to walk. Even her groom Sami might not have recognized her if he had seen her elsewhere. She no longer resembles the Muslim girl he fell in love with at first sight in the cinema Al Wataniya at Gadir City. She is more beautiful than any actress in a successful American Hollywood film or a superstar heroine of an Indian Bollywood hit movie. Even Miss World or a Miss Universe has to accept whether or not she agrees to the second place next to her. She is more beautiful than the nymph of paradise or a Hurriyat al Jannah, is sweeter than a queen in a fairy tale, and, and more gorgeous than Al Jinniya, the bride of the Nile River. She's the most beautiful of all Disney princesses in Hollywood movies. She is beautiful beyond description, too marvelous, gorgeous, hot, and very sexy. In short, her beauty is unparalleled, and the human tongue cannot describe it. She wore a very tight short that looked like half bantis, something that no Sudanese Muslim girl would do, even if she became a prostitute or a shakshuka or the last person in the world. Even a Muslim girl who is thrown alone on a secluded island and know that no man will see her may not wear such a revealing outfit. By the way, some fanatical Muslim girls turn off the lights in the bathroom and toilet before they open their underwear and reveal their private parts and show their breasts, buttocks, and booties. Each of them believes that a male genie or one of the devils can see her private parts, such as her pussy, hair, ass, buttocks, breasts, and nipples, and fuck her without her knowledge. It is forbidden for a Muslim woman to reveal her nakedness to any male creature, even if it is spiritual or demonic. There is a common belief in the Islamic world that sons of Satan and daughters of the devil come at night to have sex with teenage girls and boys while they sleep. Anyway, the dress that Intisar is wearing does not fully cover the sexy part of her thighs, hips, buttocks, and breasts. Her top dress clings to her body in the kind of outfit known as Hagen dress. Her buttocks in those short and tight pants became too big and too wide, so they would attract even the holiest clerk in the entire universe. Half of her pomegranate shaped breasts get out from the completely bare shoulders. Any wrong move may expose her big breast and expose their nipples. Also, in the case of the wrong forward bend, her large buttocks will also appear as if she is wearing a small bikini in the swimming pool or on a beach of Miami in America or a Copacabana beach in Rio de Janeiro at Brazil, revealing her sexy black underwear. Next comes the face. Her cheeks were decorated like a pair of fresh apples. Her sweet lips are covered with red lipsticks. Her eyelashes are golden in color. A small golden ring was inserted into her left nostril, which is called the zumam. Two large gold rings hang from her ears. Her eyebrows are crescent shaped. Around her bare neck, which is like a bottle of ghee, hangs a golden chain. The chain bears a large golden cross. It hangs down, passes over the half-naked chest, and stops slightly under the almost fully visible big boobs. Her hair is styled and cut very evenly and falls down to her waist. A beautiful red artificial rose attached to her long black hair. We have mentioned almost everything except the shirt and the shoes. What the beautiful and sexy bride in Tisar wears is neither a shirt nor a blouse. Also, we cannot call it a short sleeve collarless shirt. It is something that only the Cuban young woman and the Eritrean girls wear. I have no slight idea what they call it. Just let us call it sexy and cute lady shirt. If you know a sexy Cuban girl or an attractive Eritrean chick, she might tell you what they call it in Amharic and Tikrinje languages. Everything Intisar wears is sexy and short except for the shoes. She wears sexy tall boots that the girl can only buy online from High Heel Mania or a bad clothing websites. They are long and sexy and covering half of her legs. There are many fine details about her body, her face, her hair, her clothes, her jewelry, and her shoes. But we have to get past them and head straight to the international airport to see her off. If we were forced to describe every inch in tedious detail or a minuscule detail, we would surely miss the great rapture or a snatch of the last day of the Christian bride in Tisan Khartoum city, or what was once called the disobedient Muslim wife fleeing from the rule of obedience and being left behind in the kingdom of Tartars or the Islamic Republic of Satan, which euphemistically known as the Democratic Republic of Sudan. Suffice it to say that her Coptic friend Suzanne applied all her talents, disguised Intisar, and turned her into a completely different girl. Even the smart lawyer Salah could not succeed to such a skillful extent in transforming her from a Sudanese Muslim girl into an assuming Christian girl when he disguised her sexy feminine appearance in a handsome boy on the night of her escape from the spies of the rejected lover Hassan, and from the policemen who were supposed to arrest her and transfer her by force on the next day to the house of obedience, where she was supposed to be raped and imprisoned until death set her free from her bondage. Simply put, the smart Coptic girl has succeeded in transforming her Arab friend into a very beautiful and sexy Abyssinian Christian girl. By the way, Suzanne works in the evenings in a beauty salon, and during the day she goes to her school. She's in the 11th grade and she is 18 years old. In fact, she's 7 months older than Intisar. She also goes to tennis and basketball practices on the weekends. She's a very talented girl in her studies and work. She's also a talented girl in music, plays the guitar and sings in the church choir. She's an excellent tennis and basketball player. In a short time, Suzanne was able to transfer many of these talents to her friend Intisar. Meanwhile, the two ugly spies, Nisir and Jigir, spent the whole night sleeping in shifts near the Coptic family home. When the sun rose and reached midday in the middle of the sky, they sought refuge under the shade of a neem tree on a large street. They were tired of watching the house in question without seeing any familiar faced person entering or leaving it. They become very angry with their leader Tia for making them sleep like chickens or robs all night while he sleeps comfortably in the bed in a small room in a cheap motel. They have decided to tell their boss that if no one like the crazy young Sami or the disobedient runaway Muslim wife Intisar comes out by the end of the day, they will leave their duty of spawnage so that if he has to expel them or kill them, they will not spend another night in front of the house of the infidel Christians. The spies are simply tired of watching the house of those damning infidel Copts. Anyway, by 1:15 p.m., Jigir and Nisir saw two unknown to them persons come out of the house with a large suitcase in their hands. The two people are an old man and a handsome young man. They put the heavy bag into a big car. Then they went back to their place and disappeared again into the house. The two spies had accurately guessed that someone or some people would travel from that Coptic house. A few minutes later, they saw one of the two men, a handsome young man, walk out of the same house while two teenage girls followed him. The two girls are very beautiful. One of the two girls caught their attention and interest. She appeared to them as a very beautiful Indian movie superstar heroine. What a beautiful and hot girl, shouted Nasser. She is more beautiful than a virgin of paradise. Then his yellow teeth and ugly lips whistled. Who is this movie star girl? Jigger asked. I don't know who she is, said the eagle Nisser, but I wish she was in my arms tonight. Do you think she looks like the runaway Muslim wife in disguise? Asked the big rat Jigger. No Sudanese chick can come close to her exquisite beauty. Her face, hair, clothes, and sexy body look like an Ethiopian girl. What made you think that? Ethiopian girls are a mixture of Italian colonials and Yemeni immigrants, and that is why they do not look like our Sudanese women, who are half African and half Arab. Besides, no Muslim girl can go out of her house naked in this way. Her Muslim father, brother, or husband will cut her half exposed naked body into bits and pieces in honor killing. Only a Cuban Christian girl can go down the street half naked like that hot antecedent girl. And do you think we need to report to our wicked boss, the ugly Tia Kuku with the shaitan, about her and the other girl? The other girl is a Christian chick. I can bet on that. Her blonde hair, green eyes, skinny jeans, and sleeveless top speak loud and clear that she is a Coptic damsel. I think we are wasting our precious time standing here watching the Copt's house. You are right, Nisir. Let us just call it another failure and waste of our precious time and energy. When the two spies came to this conclusion, they saw the large car start moving toward the main street, and within minutes it disappeared from their sight. Once the car was gone, the two spies called their boss Tia and told him about the wise conclusion they had reached. However, the dangerous leader, the first born of the son of Iblis Kuku or the Shaitan, strongly rejected their decision and ordered them to continue watching in front of the Christian infidels' house. At first, Jigger and Nasser begin to challenge their ruthless leader's decision, but when the latter threatens their lives, the watch continues. By the way, the name Jigir means big mouse or a huge rat, and the other name Nisr means flying hawk or eagle, or as it is called in Sudan, a Simbirium Gadum. The real name of their leader, Tia, is Chabarachop. On the day he was born, his mother gave him this name. His biological father is Kuku with the Shaitan, and his Muslim mother, who works a prostitute and a liquor saleswoman in night par or a brothel now, is called Kusum al Arab. Her name is Fuck the Arab Busi of the Fuck the Busi of the Arabs. She gave her son this name Chabarachok, but the gang changed it to Tia. In Sudanese folklore fairy tales, Chabarachok is a name of a little black demon who was born as a human child. It is like the name of Daldum, the chief of demons of the imprisoned usurper, the witch doctor Haj Muhammad. Each name has no meaning in Arabic or any other human language. Let us translate them to the great Satan for the grand spy Tia and the devil to the shadow of death, Mr. Daldum, because both men fulfill the job descriptions of the dragon and the beast mentioned in the book of Revelation in the Holy Bible. After being scolded by the scary Beelzebub, Tia, the frightened rat Jigir, and the ugly falcon Nisir acquiesced to the threats. Having their lives threatened by their ruthless ringleader, They occupied the shade of the same Nima tree, sat down, and resumed watching the Coptic dwelling carefully. Beelzebub in the Hebrew language means prince of demons, and in the Aramaic language means prince of flies. I prefer applying both meaning to the great spy Tia because his biological father is Kukuwa the Shaitan, the commander of the bodyguards in Al Gadarif Central Prison, as we have previously met him in Barak number 13, which is inhabited by demons and jinns. Kuku was the Shaitan, meaning the fairest son of Satan, the fairest born son of Satan. These three spies are like the devils and flies who kept chasing and hovering around the two lovers, Intisar and Sami, followed them everywhere they went or hid, as if they were goblins or they are black shadows. The old servant Osman Satan al Taib, who had recently been released from the barren apes or bottomless pits, pays them dearly in their spy service. After being acquitted of his heinous crimes and released from the bottomless pit, the evil old man summoned his spies to his luxurious room at the Sheraton International Hotel and ordered them to continue the search. Before sending them, he told them that he would not stop the meticulous and painstaking search until he sent the filthy prostitute, the boy girl, and the disobedient runaway Muslim wife Intisar to the house of obedience to her lawful husband Hassan. But in his dark heart and his hidden bitter hatred, he decided to kill her and bury her body in a pit near the grave of her evil sister Firdos, who made two attempts to kill him during his attempt to rape her on their honeymoon in his luxurious room at the five-star Hilton International Hotel. The lustful old man married the beautiful nurse Miss Zakia Karamallah. She became his wife number 4 and is also a surrogate for his late Muslim wife Firdos Ibrahim Mustafa Jabir, whom he raped to death. So he is now enjoying his honeymoon with his sexy new bride at the most expensive and beautiful international hotel in Khartoum. The Kia was 20 years old when she married the 70 years old wealthy Giza Osman Seitan al Taib. Despite the 50 years of difference between them, the greedy, corrupt nurse married the vile old man because of his great fortune. For 3 nights, he could not have sex with her big open pussy, even though he had swallowed several Viagra pills. Sexy nurse Zakia is a twice divorced, high-profile prostitute who goes to bed with any rich man, no matter how old or ugly, like a monkey or a pig. She's a whore like a bitch who has too many dogs for sex for pay. The evil old man is her husband number 3. She married him because she's expecting him to die soon and she can have a share in his large inheritance. Meanwhile, as the big car was heading toward this Khartoum International Airport, the eyes of the beautiful and sexy Christian bride Intisar looked through the window at the streets and the people. She saw every person walking in the street as threat to her life. She fears that the car will have an accident and then she will be taken to the hospital. Then she might be identified and arrested. She knows the evils that could befall her if the police discover her apostasy from Islam, her conversion to Christianity, and her secret Christian marriage. She carries in her bag her Christian water baptism, a marriage certificate. Intisar immediately dismissed such an unnecessary and inappropriate fear. She remembered how her good Christian family had worked diligently and sincerely to obtain for her and her lover Sami refugee documents, resettlement, immigrant visas in Canada, and free airline tickets. They also prayed fervently every day for their safety and encouraged them with many verses from the Holy Bible. Intisar told her friend Suzanne if she was born a Christian, she would not have left her and her family and fled from Sudan to Canada. She was going to spend her whole life in their care and enjoy living with her good brothers and sisters in the Lord Jesus Christ and loving Coptic family members. The memory of the immigrant Christian bride in Tisar was transmitted from her righteous Christian brother and sister, and she began to remember wandering aimlessly in the streets of the capital city without shelter, food, money, and shoes. When she was a Muslim wife fleeing from the rule of obedience and law enforcement officers, her tears started to fall like hot water from her beautiful eyes and to her smooth, apple like cheeks. She took out her handkerchief and started wiping away those tears. She wonders what her condition would be like today if she was raped by the two human sex predators, the obese man Bulbul and Major Sanosni. Or what would have happened to her if she had not escaped from the two fat policemen who arrested her on the road while she was sitting without shoes and without committing any crime? Or if she was stoned to death by the angry mob who mistook her for a zombie or a boogie woman? She arose from her grave as a ghost on the said day after her burial. Or if she was hit by bullets from the two guarding soldiers in front of the military base, or if she drowned in the waters of the Nile River and died on the Sunday in which she attempted suicide. She knows if one of these evils had happened to her, she would not have met such loving people as her Coptic friend Suzanne and her Christian family. Nor would she have spent those wonderful days with the love of her life, Sammy, during their long honeymoon. She wouldn't have had such fun and sex with her handsome groom. As a wedding gift, her friend Suzanne gave her a book on sex that teaches countless sexual positions. As a virgin bride with her handsome groom, they have explored and applied together all these wonderful sexual ways. She never knew that sex between two passionate lovers would be such a fun and wonderful experience. Not only did the beautiful and sexy bride enjoy them with her handsome groom, but she learned some of them as her school courses and memorized them like she memorized verses of the Holy Quran when she was a Muslim girl. She has learned the machinery sex position, pancake pose, legs on the shoulders style, stairways to heaven position, sex style of 69, the spread eagle sex pose, the canine sex position or a doggy sex style, which is Sammy's favorite sex position, access to heaven sex position, and of course, her favorite cowgirl sex technique. The one when she climbs naked like a cowgirl on top of a horse and sits on the naked body of her lover Sammy and fucks him with her small pussy and he fucks her with his big dick. The two lovers also explored some of the sex techniques in the classical Hindu Kama Sutra religious books that were used by Indian Maharaja kings to have sex with their beautiful Maharani queens. The beautiful immigrant bride became very aroused and got wet in her pussy and soaked her tiny swimsuit panties or a small underwear as she remembered the hot honeymoon night in the hotel room she enjoyed with her handsome groom Sammy. After that, she changed the course of her thoughts, and the immigrant Christian girl Intisar began to sing about her new life with her immigrant boyfriend Sammy in the promised land in Canada. For them, Sudan is a land of bitter experiences and abuse, while Canada is a land of a land overflowing with milk and honey. She wishes that the big car would suddenly grow wings and fly out of her home country and land in her new world. The wife Intisar imagined herself sitting next to her handsome Sami on the plane in Frankfurt International Airport, his arms surrounding her as she sleeps on his shoulder. She will be safe in his hands. She feels very sad that she will miss her friend Suzanne. In a short time, Intisar became part of that loving Christian family. They did for her everything a family could do for their daughter. She remembered how bitterly her new Christian mother Sarah and spiritual father Matta Hanna had wept when she kissed them her last goodbyes. The immigrant girl Intisar also remembered the urgent phone call in the middle of the night from Salah and Muna and how upset the whole family was. They spent many hours trying to find a safe haven for her and her husband. She feels very sad that she will not meet their best friends, the groom Salah and his bride Muna, anymore. They said their goodbyes on the phone. They also told them that they had decided not to come and see them off at the international airport for their own safety and protection. Intisar's memory also takes her back to her Muslim mother Sarah. She feels very sorry for her mother. She learns through her half sister Badriya that her mother had become very ill after her daughter Intisar ran away from home on the night of her travel while she was sitting on a sacks of grain on a truck to Khartoum city. When her mother Sarah regained her health, she now lives with a broken heart. In a short time, she lost her daughter Firdos, her only son Usman, and finally her runaway daughter Intisar. Her was her younger sister was brutally murdered by the evil old man Osman al-Taib, who bound her like an animal, starved her, beat her, and raped her to death. Her brother Osman committed suicide when he failed to protect the honor of his and life of his sister Firdos. Intisar started to shed hot tears when she realized that she was the main reason for her family's suffering. Her strong and unwavering love for the rich man's son has brought all these evils to her innocent family members. Despite this, the immigrant bride, fleeing the verdict of obedience, thanked God when she remembered that her older sister Farida was still working as a translator in a good company in Abu Dhabi and supporting her mother. Her sister sacrificed a lot and prevented herself from marrying and having children in order to care for her and support her mother Sarah, her brother Osman, and her two sisters, Intisar and Firdos. She said time and again it was her heart's desire to see all her siblings successfully complete their studies and become well paid employees, then marry and settle down. For that reason, the good sister Farida rejected many marriage proposals and remained faithful to her promise to take care of her siblings and mother until they all stood on their feet. Once in Canada, Intisar decided to write a long letter and tell her dear sister Farida how she had suffered 3 days and 3 nights in the streets of Khartoum. She will tell her how God saved her life from drowning in the waters of the Nile River and brought her to the Christian church and to the home of the loving Coptic family. She will then tell her about her bridegroom Sami, their happy wedding, and the wonderful honeymoon they enjoyed together, and the same good Coptic Christians who helped them achieve that goal that seemed impossible. She decided to convince her husband Sami that if God blessed them with a daughter and a son, they should name them Firdos and Osman. She wanted to keep the memories of her late sister and late brother with her throughout her life, wherever she goes in the world. As the immigrant bride indulged in these thoughts, Her friend Suzanne, the Coptic girl, suddenly draws her attention that they have arrived at Khartoum International Airport. Intisar took out her handkerchief and wiped her tears. Then Suzanne told her to come down and leave her friend Andre to get her bag. She got out of the car and the Coptic friend carried the heavy bag across the street and the two best friends walked with him toward the departure hall. Intisar carries a small handbag over her shoulder. Inside her handbag were her travel documents, two baptismal and secret Christian marriage certificates, and a few US dollars. When they reached the entrance hall, Andre told his sweetheart Suzanne that airport or security would not allow them to accompany her friend anymore. When Intisar and Suzanne realized that it was time to say goodbye, they hugged each other and started crying bitterly. The boyfriend Andre has to separate them from each other. Then he held Intisar's hand, shook her hand warmly, bid her farewell, encouraged her to move forward, and wished her a safe